Are you okay?
I don't know.
Okay, did you call the police yet?
Yeah, I did.
I'm gonna call an advocate and you can tell us both at the same time, okay?
Hey, Sarah, your dad told me that you need help.
So, is there anything that I need to do, or...?
Just focus on getting better.
With an advocate on your side, you're never alone.
Today's the day! And look who I just met.
Hey, Dad.
You deserve a worry-free recovery. You deserve an advocate.
This is The Monty Show, the truth in sports talk streaming. When you want unbiased opinions about your favorite team without the spin, all you have to do is find The Monty Show, streaming live and available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on YouTube. And now, here's Monty.
Hey, The Monty Show live on Thursday, January 30th. You realize it's been 5 weeks since Christmas. 2025 right here on The Monty Show. Oh, boy. How about this Mountain West Pac-12 war for survival? The Mountain West Conference issues a statement yesterday essentially saying UNLV is not going anywhere, and more uncertainty rains down on both the Pac-12 and the Mountain West, who still have not merged. Scandal hits Ohio State football. Did anybody see what Bret Bielema, pork chop head himself?
Pork chop head.
Did you guys see Bret Bielema go after Jimmy Cheat again?
Hey, Jimmy.
Amazing that the ringleader of the Michigan sign stealing scandal, Jim Harbaugh,
cheating, lying,
right,
and then playing the victim.
Yeah, who evacuated Michigan football to avoid penalties from the NCAA.
Right.
You have to be desperate to take the San Diego we now play in Los Angeles Charger job. But anyway, he destroys Michigan football's legacy, runs to the NFL, and then pork chop boy at Illinois, Bret Bielema. Too much? Is it too? Are you saying
no,
that's
you're
too
fine.
much?
Keep going with the bit. Yeah, that's fine.
Anyway, pork chop head decides that he wants to pile on. It is incredible to me.
Entertainment at its finest.
It isn't, and then of course, because pork chop head wasn't enough, Paul Finebaum had to pile on top of pork chop head.
Right. And I mean, anytime you can bash the Big Ten, you know what I mean?
That's why we have Finebaum.
I mean, it is
Obviously.
amazing to me that this is where we are in this Michigan cheating thing. Like it just, I don't know. I could go both ways with it. I think that Michigan was a very good football team last year, but there is no question. And now with all this new information, and Michigan did this to themselves with this release thing, it's just really interesting to me that you would do this so publicly and so aggressively while admitting that you cheated.
Yeah. I mean, I think that, you know, Jim and Michigan, the school itself, like, you know, I think that they want people to buy into to their narrative, and people haven't bought in. And I think that when you get caught like this, you know, yeah, people are going to go public with it and take you through the gutter, man. And you probably brought that on yourself.
Yeah, I don't know how. I just don't know how Michigan ever recovers from it. I truly do not. And I'm not even trying to be drama queen guy or whatever that might be. I just think this will be Jim Harbaugh's legacy forever. And I don't know, maybe I'm being too dramatic. Maybe, you know, I guess that could be the fact. But if you go back to what Jim Harbaugh said while I was covering him in San Francisco, listen to Jim Harbaugh talking about integrity.
And you always want to be above approach, especially when you're good, because you don't want people to, you know, come back and say, oh, they're winning because they're cheating. We want to be above approach and everything, do everything by the rules. Because if you don't, if you cheat to win, then you've already lost.
You're just you're a lying. It's what Finebaum said. You're a fraud.
Yeah.
And I don't agree with Finebaum much, but Jim Harbaugh is a fraud. That's
he enjoys the smoke show. He enjoys, you know, cheating and doing all the things you're not supposed to do behind the scenes.
Lying,
you know,
cheating, lying, and then playing the victim.
Right? Like that's the playbook for Jim Harbaugh. And then, the finishing move is to walk up to the podium or to the media and say that you're a saint and you would never do this and you do it for the kids. And, this is unjust and unfair.
Somebody's got to stick up for the kids.
Yeah. And you're going to be the middleman and you're going to do what has to be done. And just shut up, dude. I'm so sick and tired of the act. And what's funny to me is I remember the first time I ever said this, everyone lost their mind and said I was stupid. Right. Oh, I said, hey, what has Jim really done in football? And everyone's like, oh, well, he's this incredible head coach. He's won so much. Everywhere he's been, he's won. Yeah, I wonder why.
Has he really, though?
Come on.
I ask you, excuse me, I ask you straight away. When you hear the name Jim Harbaugh, do you think of a guy that's a winner? I do not. Knowing how disliked Jim Harbaugh was during his time in the Bay Area, knowing that Jim Harbaugh is a guy, and I've said this before as well, and Michigan fan loses their mind over it, but understanding that Jim Harbaugh is a guy that he is not somebody that is beloved. He is not somebody where you're like, I've got to have Jim Harbaugh. He's an asshole, in my opinion. He's not a good person. He's not somebody that, when I covered him with San Francisco, he was not universally beloved by his players.
Yeah.
Not many players at all. And you look at how he left San Francisco. He left San Francisco as a disgraced head coach. It's almost remarkable how badly he screwed up his time in San Francisco.
Yeah, I just don't think he leaves situations better than he found them. That's the problem. So
certainly he does not.
The Jim Harbaugh effect on your program or your team is, hey, bring him in. He's going to be a hard ass for probably 4 seasons. The first season you're going to improve, but not be where you want to go. You're not going to reach the goal you want, but you are going to improve. Then you're going to have a couple of really good seasons, probably double-digit win seasons. And then he's going to start burning people out in that 4th season, and it goes downhill. And we've seen that time and time again. I just don't think that this is rocket science. People want to tell you that this guy's like a Super Bowl winner and just incredible and one of the greatest coaches we've ever seen. And let's say that he had won multiple Super Bowls and he was one of the greatest coaches in the NFL, but he had been caught up in this cheating thing and orchestrated it and everything. You're still at that point not one of the best coaches I've ever seen. So I really struggle with this concept that people are surprised that Bret Bielema will come out and take
I'm
Jim
surprised.
to the woodshed, dude.
I'm surprised. I think it is very, very rare that a guy like Bret Bielema, who, no matter what you think of Mike McCarthy, Bret Bielema,
stalwartness.
Bret Bielema has a massive cranium, but he also has a very itchy trigger finger on the old X machine. That video that we just played you of Jim Harbaugh saying that if you cheat to win, you've already lost. Bret Bielema, look at this tweet. Really? Why did you leave? Was looking forward to playing, but understand why you ran to the NFL. See you in the future. Can't wait. And if that wasn't enough from old pork chop, then he gets Paul Finebaum, who says, I've always liked Bret. He was fun when we were together, but he's right. Harbaugh is just a disingenuous fraud about all the things he used to say. He didn't want to face the music. By the way, Michigan didn't really want him to stay.
By the way, Monty.
Hey, by the way, Finebaum. This is remarkable. You very rarely see the coaching fraternity turn on each other.
But he earned that.
He did.
And when you want to embarrass dudes like Greg Schiano, when you want to come after guys like Bret on the football field, what do you expect them to do? Do you think that they're just going to sit there and say, "Oh, it's Jim Harbaugh"? Man, we shouldn't say anything. Come on, dude.
You also have to remember that Jim Harbaugh had 1 year at Stanford.
Yeah.
1 year. Then when he went to the 49ers, he had a good team, but he had a ridiculously talented roster and locker room. Ridiculously talented. They lost the Super Bowl because he made a quarterback change 1 year too early. When they went to Colin Kaepernick, I think if Alex Smith was in the game against Baltimore, the 49ers win that Super Bowl. They did not. Right? But he took them to, in a 3-year span, 2 NFC championship games and a Super Bowl. Did not win them. And then that 4th year, they were absolutely garbo, and he got run out of San Francisco.
Yeah.
And he winds up going to Michigan. Excuse me, Freudian slip. And they were good, but they were never elite until his final 3 seasons that culminated in a national championship that now I think is forever tainted. And I think it's very difficult that when you bring in a guy like Connor Stallions, I understand Lone Wolf acted on his own. Nobody, including Connor's mom, had any idea what he was doing. He was just, he kept the information to himself. That's the other thing that if you get in the comments section yesterday, I love all the Michigan fans. Well, he never shared that information.
It was all confidential.
Then why did he pay people to go to stadiums and videotape? Well, sign stealing's not illegal. Nobody said sign stealing was illegal.
Yeah.
That's not what Michigan was investigated for. They were not investigated for stealing signs. They were investigated for advanced scouting for the purpose of sign stealing. That's what they were investigated for.
Yeah.
Because when you steal signs in real time, like when the game's going on, which is what most other people do, or from the video archive that you get access to and you steal their signs, yeah, no problem. Not a problem. When you send people to other stadiums to steal signs, that's when you get in trouble.
Yeah.
And I know, again, Lone Wolf, he kept the information to himself. He didn't, I don't believe. But anyway, my point is he couldn't beat Ohio State. Connor Stallion shows up and they can't lose to Ohio State.
Right. You
can't lose games. You're winning big games. You're winning. What was his record those 3 years? 24, 34, 37, and 3. So let me get this right. You were essentially 8-9 win football team and then went 37 and 3 over a 3-year stretch. And we're just supposed to believe.
Yeah, it's the greatness of Jim, dude. It is the greatness of Jimmy.
That must be it.
And his khakis.
Yeah, that must be it. Anyway, I just thought it was very interesting that Pork Chop Face. I am not a Bret Bielema fan. It's disgusting to me. He's at Illinois because he coached at that crap hole in Madison. But anyway.
Hey, he's got to move it in the right direction.
Well, once you have that kind of mass, you get moving in one direction. It's awfully difficult to slow it down.
It's really tough to stop,
I know this firsthand.
Right.
But I just think it's very interesting that you would go all out on X. I'm really surprised by it.
Listen, I know we don't see it a lot, but I think that most people vastly underestimate just how bitter the other coaches in the Big Ten are over what Jim did. And we've been over this, many times about what happened. You guys all know what happened. We've covered it in detail. But I think this side of the conversation, like what other coaches feel about it, hasn't been talked about a lot. And so that's why I'm like, I guess it's surprising he came out and did this, but at the same time, he feels wronged. He feels like Jim Harbaugh is a fraud and is a schemer, and ultimately.
But who really disagrees with that?
Michigan fan does. That's it.
Do you really think that Michigan fan, I don't know, and I know we have a couple on this show, but you can't tell me if you're a Michigan fan, you cannot tell me that you in your heart of hearts miss Jim Harbaugh or believe that you won that championship fair and square. You can publicly, for whatever pride you're trying to keep, I have no idea. There's no way to defend what Jim Harbaugh did.
Now, if you want to come out, and this is what I always say to Ferris, right? Or any of the other folks who listen to this show. If you guys want to come out and say, yeah, we cheated and everybody knew we were cheated or we were cheating and we still won the national championship. Okay, now we can have a conversation. Now we can talk about like, hey, you owned it. You're accountable. We can move along with life. But until you own the fact that you guys cheated and you undercut the system, you're never going to move on. It's always like a year from now, if you haven't been accountable to it, people are still going to be talking to you about it. Like at some point you have to say, yes, we cheated. There's no question about it. There's a mountain of evidence here to support it. Like there's a reason he went to the NFL. There's a reason Michigan brass wouldn't give him immunity from NCAA, punishment. Like we know the story, bro. Like just be accountable.
Yeah. All right. Real quick before we get to the Big Ten is a scandal-ridden conference. So now U.S. figure skating, if you guys did not see, there was a plane crash last night where a regional jet from American Airlines collided somehow, and I'm sure we're going to have tinfoil hat conversations about this. A Black Hawk helicopter flew directly into an American Airlines regional jet in Washington, D.C. The jet crashed into the Potomac, and there are going to be no survivors. USA Figure Skating now has confirmed, as has the Russian Sports Federation, or whatever they're called, has confirmed that jet was carrying figure skaters from Wichita to Washington, D.C., after the United States Figure Skating Championships. Figure skaters, coaches, staff, and family were on that plane. And there will be no survivors. We don't know what the official count is. We don't know the fate of the Black Hawk pilots or its crew. And this is going to be much... Did you say we had the video of that?
Yeah,
this is going to be much bandied about. Because if you look at this video, it's the bright, I want you to notice, you'll see the explosion here in a minute, the bright dot. There's the explosion. What I want you to watch when I play this again, you'll notice the big bright light. That is the jet coming in for approach. It is cleared to land. The tower cleared it to land. They warned the Black Hawk to be vigilant for jets in its path. Notice the smaller bright light from left moving right into the brighter light here. Do you see the small blip? That's the Black Hawk helicopter flying directly into the airplane. And I have no idea how a United States military Black Hawk helicopter pilot makes that mistake. It's inexplicable.
How do you see the plane? Because you can't tell me you didn't see it. There's just that makes no sense. No way, no how that you didn't see this plane, right? And I'm not saying it's some massive plane, right? But when you're flying a helicopter,
it's a regional jet.
It's a regional jet. It's big enough. We're not talking about a Cessna here. Like this is a commercial regional jet. And the hard part for me is as someone who, watched this video, like I'm sitting here thinking, okay, like you're the pilot of this helicopter and you're flying perpendicular. You're coming from left to right and the planes are in their typical path to land. You know where that path is. Like people are not dumb.
And there's now all kinds of cell phone video from people on airplanes leaving Reagan International, which is where this happened, leaving Reagan, flying out, and there are Black Hawks flying the Potomac, like Black Hawk helicopters.
Yeah.
And they're very close to the runways.
Yeah. The distance or like the closeness of helicopters to airstrips is something that happens all the time, right? But there's like ways you go about it, right? Like just the same way that that you wouldn't merge when you're driving your car, you wouldn't merge backwards, or you wouldn't drive through a red light, with cars coming across, is the same thing here. But again, I have a lot of trouble on one hand saying, man, like they wouldn't do this on purpose, right? But then on the other hand, I'm like, dude, like what were you doing here? Like there's no way to get away from it.
But in the tower, when you hear the audio from the tower, I mean, they're talking directly to the Black Hawk. They straight up say to the Black Hawk, please, be aware of the traffic around you. They clear the regional jet to land. They warn the Black Hawk helicopter. And then the guys in the tower sit there and watch it happen because it's out of their control. And they have an alarm in the tower going off.
Well, the other thing everyone's talking about is this TCAS system that commercial jets have to avoid each other. There's literally a system that will go off in a commercial jet, and it will tell the pilot, hey, you need to go down 1,000 feet or up 1,000 feet or left or right. It'll tell you what to do to avoid an in-air collision, which is why this is so rare. But the problem is we're not talking about commercial on commercial crime here, right? We're talking about a military helicopter and a commercial jet.
The elite pilots in the world. And I already see comments about how the military's weak. Get out of here. Like, you're a jackass. This has nothing to do with, the military's weak. What does that have to do with a world-class professional?
Yeah.
Flying a helicopter. And do you understand who you have to be to fly a Black Hawk helicopter? Politics have nothing to do with this.
Yeah.
Like, dude, there are roughly 70 people potentially who are dead this morning, and you want to play politics. You're disgusting. It is absolutely ridiculous anyway, the point is, you're a world-class pilot.
Right.
How do you fly a Black Hawk helicopter into a regional jet?
Yeah, and it'll be really interesting to see, because obviously what's going to happen here is there's no question about what the jet was doing, right? The jet is very self-explanatory. Coming into land, commercial pilots, the commercial jet's very straightforward. The question's going to be, where was this Black Hawk going? What was because military jets and helicopters also have flight plans and all kinds of stuff that they have to submit before they take off. So there's going to be a whole log of like, hey, this is what time we left. This is where we were going allegedly. Like this was the flight plan.
Correct.
So the question's going to be where did this go sideways? Because there has to be
somebody did something.
Yeah.
That crossed a line, and you're trying to figure out now. And now American Airlines is officially confirming, and the U.S. military is officially confirming the number is 64. 60 on the passenger jet, 4 crew members on the Black Hawk. That's just coming out now.
Yeah.
And if you know anything about aviation, and unfortunately, I've had the great displeasure of covering multiple plane crashes in my career. There are specific, and I mean, it is not feet, it is inches. There are specific routes that these helicopters, when you have a military base and a commercial airline operation on the same ground, which is very common.
Right.
It is all over the country. There quite literally are routes and clearances for the commercials and for the military. And they are to never cross. And how a Black Hawk pilot, an elite professional in the world, I cannot stress that enough.
Yeah.
Takes a direct line into a commercial aircraft. I'm with you there. The argument he just didn't see it. That's not possible.
That's not going to work.
It's not. They had the systems and equipment on these Black Hawks are incredible.
That's why, and I really have trouble, and this is kind of what you were saying. Like, I really have trouble with the idea that this would have been intentional. That's what I struggle with so much. You can't tell me that this pilot, and obviously we don't know who the pilot is yet, but this pilot was like, yeah, there were Russians on the plane, so I'm going to go blow this plane up. Like,
Yeah,
that's
I have
what
a hard time believing
like, that's
that.
what everyone's going to. Like, oh, there were Russians on the plane. It's U.S. Russia. Like, that's like the easy button thing. But you're really telling me that, like, again, what you said, a world-class pilot, someone who is in the military, in the prime of their life, like, is trained for days, like, there's no way that this should ever happen. Yet here we are, and it appears as if the military helicopter made an error. That's what it appears based on the video. Now, what I'm going to be really curious to see here is, was the commercial jet actually where it was supposed to be for approach, right? That's the first question we have to ask. Was the commercial jet right in line with where it was supposed to be? Was the commercial jet, because if you think about it, commercial jets, obviously they can be lower, they can be higher on their approach. There's an elevation they should be based on how far away they are.
Right, but you
like,
understand that they can't be in the wrong place.
Yeah, well,
the commercial airline, quite literally, and I know this because I covered a plane crash in San Francisco, and this was the exact question. They cannot physically be on the wrong flight path. They're between computers, humans, and the pilots flying the planes. It is almost, I mean, it's impossible. I'm telling you, it's impossible. The flight crew on that Black Hawk, knowing now that there were, and here's why it's important to know there were 4. That means they had a spotter on the helicopter. Because anytime you take off from a commercial area, like a helicopter, a military craft taking off near a airport like Reagan, you, especially in the helicopter, you have somebody whose entire job is to make sure that the pilot of the Black Hawk understands the spacing between itself and every other aircraft around it. In takeoff and landing, that's the spotter's entire job. There were 4 crew members on that Black Hawk. They had a pilot, they had a first mate, and they had a spotter. So I have no idea how this happened. The black boxes are obviously going to be very telling. It is going to be fascinating to see how this plays out.
yeah.
Because there just is no explanation for it. The rigors and the training, especially if you're a Black Hawk pilot in Washington, D.C., and you're based in Washington, which is reportedly where these helicopters, this flight crew was based in Washington. You routinely fly with and around the President of the United States. You provide advanced and real-time support for all aircraft related to the U.S. government. Like, these guys are I continue to say it.
Yeah.
They're the elite of the elite.
Yeah,
They are not rookies. They are veteran crews.
So, with that being the case, I mean, the hard part is going to be, again, you're right. The black boxes will be telling, but I'm just curious, like, if there was intent here, if someone just went sideways, like, I don't know. That's what's really difficult is, like, I don't want to say stuff that disparages these pilots because they are the best of the best. Like, it would be just truly, like, shocking.
Yeah.
Like, and so that's why I'm so hesitant to be like, well, okay, if you're the best of the best, you're trained, there were 4 of you, like, you do this for a living, like, that only lends itself to a couple of narratives here, you know, like.
And you have to also remember that what is a Black Hawk helicopter? It's invisible. It's invisible. And, one of the first things that comes to my mind, are they in night vision? Because if you're wearing night vision to fly that helicopter at night, and I don't know, this is a guess, do you know how difficult it is to see in night vision when you have bright lights around you? So I'm very curious, were they wearing night vision? Because this crash is going to be 100% the fault of the Black Hawk.
Yeah.
I mean, there's almost no way to say that the jet, the American Airlines regional jet, which now we know, by the way, was, if you're just tuning in, was carrying U.S. figure skating personnel, families, and staff, as well as members of the Russian Figure Skating Federation.
Yeah.
The jet was cleared to land. So at that point, just the fact that he got clearance to land tells me he was in the right place in the right time. And trust me when I tell you, they would have never seen the Black Hawk. It is, those things are built, designed, and executed to be invisible.
Yeah.
And it'll come
it's
out.
sad,
But
dude. It's really sad, like, that there were, that these figure skaters and all the staff and all the people who are just trying to get to where they need to go, and it's totally out of their control. I mean, I can't even imagine it makes you wonder, like, if you're on that plane, like, you can't tell me there was some announcement, I'm assuming it just happened. Like, it just, there was contact and that was it.
yeah, we'll see. It'll be very interesting to see how all this comes out. But what we know this morning is there were 64 people involved in this crash, 4 crew on the Black Hawk helicopter, 60 total passengers now confirmed by U.S. Figure Skating and American Airlines, 60 passengers on that regional jet flying from Wichita, Kansas, back to Washington. They were figure skating professionals, as I said, with the U.S. Figure Skating Federation and the Russian Figure Skating Federation. Yeah. They had been in Wichita to compete at the United States Figure Skating Championships, and they had wrapped up their competition and were flying back to Washington. The American Airlines, it was a regional jet. What that means to you, it is a smaller plane. It's not a large passenger jet. It was a regional, smaller jet that had been cleared for landing at Reagan. And what we know is that it collided with a Black Hawk helicopter. You'll notice the bright dot in the middle of the screen.
I don't know how you missed that, dude. Even if you had, like, you make a great point about night vision, but even if you had it, like, there's four world-class human beings on that helicopter.
But and the point is, the pilot and the crew chief, are essentially navigating that takeoff on the Black Hawk. The spotter, his job is to say, hey, he's looking at have you ever seen Top Gun? So the guy that sits in the back seat, hey, dead ahead 3 miles, right? The spotter is telling the crew chief and the pilot, hey, you have 1,000 feet behind you. You have, this much above it. Like, he's telling him
spatial awareness.
There is a plane. I would assume the spotter is telling the crew chief and the pilot, hey, there's a plane 700 feet in front of us. If he is in a group, these Black Hawks usually do not fly solo. They usually fly in squadrons of 2 or 3. Hey, we're 35 feet, lower left, or whatever their language is. The crew chief in the cockpit, his job is to make sure, okay, we've just lifted off the ground. Are our systems intact? Is everything looking good? What's our fuel at? What's our fuel pressure at? That's what the crew chief is doing on liftoff. The pilot's only job is to be in complete and total control of that aircraft. So it's not as though the pilot is like, I'm looking forward and I'm looking backward. He's got a lot of help around him. It's unthinkable that these 3 and now 4 veterans of the United States military flying Black Hawks, they likely have over 1,000 hours of training in flight time. Let that sink in. 1,000 hours. Yeah. And if you're in Washington and you're stationed in a Black Hawk crew in Washington, you have likely flown in combat, because that is one of the most senior posts that you can get as an aviator in the United States Navy or military. Whether you're flying fixed wing or helicopter, that is one of the most senior positions you can have. So their training and their experience, it's unthinkable, you guys.
Yeah.
And that this tragedy, we're, knock on wood, we're really lucky in the sports world. We very rarely have air tragedies.
Yeah.
and they
Well,
fly
and that's the crazy
all
part.
the time.
The crazy part, aviation, commercial aviation is one of the most reliable forms of transportation that we have in the world because the safety standards are so high. You know, like the aircrafts are so well built. Like that's why this is like, hey, what the hell happened here? How does something like this happen? Like that's when I saw this, I was like, man, dude, like it's somebody somewhere in the chain of events made an egregious mistake, or this was a decision that was made. That's the only possibility.
JC says, what if the pilot had an unforeseen health issue occur at that moment? Not possible. The way that those Blackhawks are flown, they use a pretty significant piece of technology in headgear, and both the crew chief and the pilot have equal capabilities. The crew chief it essentially is in a mirrored system. It wouldn't have.
Yeah.
And if it would have been, and again, I tell you, look at this video. Look how straight the helicopter is flying.
Yeah.
You see the small light flying to the big light. It's not a situation where it would have been there was a mistake. There was a something tragically wrong here. So, and I'm not in the business of guessing. I am not in the business of guessing. So, it is so rare that in sports we deal with this. Thankfully, you think about the 60 people. One of the things that really bothered me this morning, and this is just me probably being a red ass. One of the things that bothered me this morning on Twitter, I saw that there were no VIPs, important people on the Blackhawk. And I'm thinking to myself, man, there's probably some VIPs on that Blackhawk, because there are 64 people, 64 families this morning at a minimum that lost somebody. Like, I think we forget about the human being. There's probably 64 bodies in the Potomac River.
Yeah.
And it is cold. And I thought it was really interesting. I was listening to NPR this morning while I was getting dressed. And they had an analyst on there talking about the fact that, let's say you survive the crash and you end up in the river. It would be almost, you would need a perfect set of science and circumstance and a hell of a lot of luck to have survived that, because the cold would kill you, because there's no way you're not injured.
Yeah.
And the cold water, because the water is frigid.
Yeah.
It's just wild to me. Sergeant Green, Army aviators require 198 flight hours annually or they get grounded. The estimate is that this crew in that post would have over 1,000 hours of training in real world flight time. I totally get I can't speak enough.
And the credentials are not in question.
I was at KGO in San Francisco, where I worked for several years, I had the real pleasure of covering a lot of military stuff and doing stories. And when you're talking about this kind of training, these guys, this is who they are. This is what they do. This is what their life is lived on. They're not, trust me when I say, we'll find out. We're going to know. You're not going to be able to, you're not going to be able to hide this. It's a civilian aircraft, and you're going to know. It's not going to be a secret for long.
Yeah.
It is, we'll see. We'll see. There had to be, and I hate saying it out loud, this is on the Blackhawk. I'll be really curious, are they flying night? Because this has been a thing in war. When Blackhawks go down, one of the reasons they go down, because they are, you guys, I cannot tell you how advanced of aircraft Blackhawk helicopters are. It is unbelievable. One of the main reasons they go down is nighttime flight operations are incredibly dangerous if you are wearing night vision goggles, especially in a civilian area where there's light everywhere. Because I'm not talking down to you, or night vision only works in very, very dark conditions, right? So if you're flying a Black Hawk and there's a regional jet in front of you, right? Or there's bright lights everywhere, you're blind. You're blind. You can see nothing. It is quite literally like you're staring into the sun. If you have on night vision and you have light, all you want, and when you're wearing night vision, you want it to be pitch black, because night vision illuminates in pitch black circumstances. So when there's light, it's devastating. It's blinding. It's actually painful.
Which again brings us back to, why would they do that if the conditions were not correct for night vision?
Yeah, I think it is. I think it is very interesting to see how all of this plays out. I think it'll be very interesting to see how you go about this and what you do with it. I don't know. We'll find out.
Yeah.
You're never going to hear me guess or wonder out loud about. I don't question their training or their professionalism. This does not strike me as a situation where a guy was like, all right, time to kill a bunch of people, and he flew his helicopter into a plane. That is not, in my opinion, that is not at all possible here. This is not, the airline stories we've seen where pilots have crashed planes. That's not what this is. There are no hallmarks. There are no indicators. Nothing.
Yeah.
I am amazed by it. I'm amazed by it. So we'll keep you up to date as details come out on that. But real tragedy in the figure skating world this morning, as we now know that regional jet was carrying figure skaters coming back from Wichita from the United States Figure Skating Championship. And they're not naming names at this point, but
yeah,
it is a real tragedy.
Yeah,
it is a real tragedy. Sergeant Green, I agree. Flying in this area requires additional background checks and experience. Yeah. These are the Black Hawk pilots they're beyond reproach. They are.
Yeah.
Because again, remember, if you are stationed in Washington, D.C. and you are a helicopter pilot, you are flying in very close proximity. And usually you are flying accompanied to the president or the vice president or Air Force One or Air Force
Someone
Two.
important, man.
You're protecting VIPs in the air. So you're not just showing up there accidentally. But we'll see. All right, let's see. Let's get into the Pac-12 situation, because interesting update yesterday on the Pac-12 situation. We told you yesterday that the Mountain West had a memo of understanding that was binding. And a lot of people got into the minutia of this in the comments section, Pac-12 fanboys and everybody saying, well, it's a memo of understanding. It's not a contract. So one of the things I want you to understand before I show you the statement from the Mountain West Conference, it does not matter if you call it a memo of understanding, if you call it a contract, if it's written on a piece of toilet paper. It does not matter. A contract, and I think a lot of people don't understand this, and I want to make sure that you guys know the exact definition of a contract, and you're gonna be like, oh God, it matters in this situation. And the reason that it matters is because look at what Gloria Nevarez said yesterday. After the show aired, Gloria Nevarez released a statement talking about, and this I think is highly unusual. She released a statement, a good deal of speculation has recently been offered by various media outlets regarding the current and future status of Mountain West and collegiate athletic conferences. While I cannot and will not comment on other leagues, I can share some facts about the Mountain West. First, the 7 member institutions who are the foundation, notice she said the foundation of the Mountain West, have fully committed to the future of the conference. Each member has cemented that commitment by executing a grant of rights agreement effective July 1st, 2026 through 2032. The conference and its foundational institutions are successfully executing a future member strategy that will ensure the strength and stability of the Mountain West going forward. And I think this next paragraph is one of the most important ones. In consultation with our advisors, we are actively engaged in the rapidly evolving and fluid media rights landscape to best position the conference for the next iteration of our television agreement, which would commence July 1st, 2026. So that's talking about their efforts, as we reported exclusively on the show yesterday, that they are in negotiations. Finally, our priority is to protect our member institutions, student athletes, and the conference as a whole. The Mountain West is confident in its legal position and strategic plan to address the ongoing litigation with both the Pac-12 and several member institutions who have publicly expressed their intent to depart the conference. So what did we report yesterday on the show? And you can go back and check my Twitter because I also tweeted it. That the Mountain West is engaged in negotiations with its TV partners on an extension and multiple seven-figure branding deals. Multiple seven-figure, multi-million-dollar values in branding deals, as well as a television contract extension, which is what our sources are telling us. Why does all this matter? Because you say, well, UNLV, that's why this matters, right? Well, Monty, a memo of understanding isn't binding. Well, what's a contract? Here is the legal definition of a contract from Harvard Law. A contract becomes legally binding when it includes the following key elements. An offer, okay, I'm offering you membership in the Mountain West through 2032, acceptance of that offer, sign here, which all 7 members did, consideration, value being exchanged. You give me the right to broadcast your home games, I'm going to give you X amount of dollars, and a clear intention to create legal relations between the parties involved. Essentially meaning all parties understand they are entering into a binding agreement with specific terms and obligations. That's from Harvard Law. If you think this memo of understanding, which our sources have told us has specific language that even directly says this is a binding agreement, offers value, offers consideration, and both parties sign that document with the intention of creating a relationship, how is this not a legally binding agreement? And how is UNLV going to get out of that legally binding agreement? Jake, I think what Gloria Nevarez did yesterday was strengthen her position, let her TV partners know where they stand, let her potential branding partners know where they stand. I think it's going to be very difficult to argue this memo of understanding is not binding.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And I think that, part of the reason she put this statement out is because she wanted to define the narrative, right? She wanted to say like, hey, a lot of people are speculating about this, as she referenced in her statement, but here's the deal. And I think that was a really smart move on her part. And I think, everyone wants to, come up with their tinfoil hat conspiracy on what UNLV is doing. The facts are that UNLV has signed their MOU, and it is a legally binding agreement. So if you're going to try and get out of that, which I'm not convinced they want to get out of it, by the way, everyone seems sold on the idea that UNLV thinks the Pac-12 is like greener pastures. I'm not convinced of that. I'm not sold on that. And I don't think they're sold on that. And I don't think anyone else is sold on that. I think that UNLV agreed to this, signed the MOU, and secured their future for the next several seasons financially. And again, that's what you guys have to understand, is that at some point these schools, are going to say, hey, we need to take the most secure and reliable approach and path to the next several seasons. The Pac-12 is a risk. The Pac-12
Certainly
is nothing. There's nothing guaranteed about that opportunity. It is, at some point people need to acknowledge that, if you're on the Pac-12 side of the fence and you're a Pac-12 supporter, I hope the league makes it. I hope they can come back to relevance. I hope that they find their success. But the reality of the situation is they don't have a TV deal. They don't have 8, full share football members, right? Like they don't have these certain ingredients that they need to take the next step. So everyone wants to focus on UNLV. Everyone wants to say, hey, well, they're the centerpiece of the Pac-12 getting to where they want to go. Sure, I don't even disagree with that. The problem is the Pac-12 is once again, not once, but now twice, trying to poach schools from a conference that has a TV deal, that just went to the college football playoff. Everyone seems to forget that. The Mountain West just went to the college football playoff. Did people just forget that Boise State currently is in the Mountain West?
Well, you made a point yesterday that was a bone of contention with a lot of people. And I don't know how people don't understand the money that Boise brought into the conference this year stays in the conference.
Yeah.
It does not travel with Boise State down the road. And I think Pac-12 fans, I don't know if you're just never going to acknowledge anything positive about the Mountain West, but the Mountain West as a league has facilitated Boise's ability to succeed at the level that they succeeded this year.
Yeah.
And that money stays in the Mountain West. I don't even think that is controversial. And so when I look at this situation and I say to myself, if you are Gloria Nevarez in the Mountain West, I think this is exactly the right thing to do. I think you have to know, and you have to let your TV partners and you have to let your potential future branding partners understand, hey, UNLV is going to be in this league. And furthermore, I thought one of the interesting conversations I had yesterday was about what is UNLV doing? There is no evidence that UNLV is deeply involved with the Pac-12 at the current time on joining their league.
That's what I'm saying. Everyone's out here just assuming that UNLV is like I love the characterization that UNLV is like actively, trying to get out of the Mountain West. They're not actively trying to do anything outside of, hey, let's make sure our revenue keeps coming in. And again, this is the thing that Pac-12 supporter can't get away from, and that the Pac-12 as a conference, the Teresa Goulds of the world, don't want to talk about, which is, hey, like you're going to go to these TV partners and you're going to go to potential schools that you would like to join the league, and you're going to sell exactly what? Because everyone hating on the Mountain West doesn't want to say, hey, yeah, they did just put a team in the college football playoff, no matter what you think of that, right? Because I don't even think they should have been there. But the reality is they were there. They got into the college football playoff. They did make a splash.
$8 million for the conference.
Like, who knows what they do in the basketball tournament this year? Like, they do have a TV deal. They do have signed MOUs. So stop telling me that the Mountain West is somehow behind or some trash conference, because it's not.
And the thing I struggle with is this lawsuit. If you go back yesterday and read the comment section, the Pac-12 fan is in the belief system that they've decimated the Mountain West. Have you taken Boise? Yes. Have you taken San Diego State? Yes. Does that hurt this league? Absolutely. But I've got Colorado State fan in the comment section telling me that Fort Collins delivers Denver. I'm no geography major. Denver belongs to the University of Colorado. Boulder is quite literally down the street from Denver. This idea that Washington State delivers Seattle is absolute nonsense.
Yeah.
If you go and look at, and I guess, and I think the major argument, because this isn't coming from Mountain West supporters.
No.
The damage that is being thrown at the Mountain West is from UNLV supporters and Pac-12 supporters. Because UNLV fan, here's the question I ask you. Because you go read the comments from our friends in Vegas, and there's a lot of you, and I appreciate you being here.
Yeah.
The question that no UNLV fan can answer today, because nobody can answer it. What do you gain by leaving the Mountain West and going to the Pac-12?
Yeah, I know what you gain. A lot more risk, a lot more uncertainty.
But quite literally, what is the positive of leaving the Mountain West to go to the Pac-12 today?
Well, I think the Pac-12 is going to tell you that the positive is, hey, well, we're going to be the best G5 conference. We're going to have, a deal with the CW, and we're going to have a deal with all the with the fast channel side of things. And so we're going to be a lot of different places. But I guess it really comes down to philosophy because if you're a UNLV supporter or a Pac-12 supporter generally, you're in the camp that Teresa Gould is a great leader, is someone who is going to put all this together and is going to
I would agree with
lead
that.
you to greener pastures. But I don't know how you can comfortably or honestly say that. How can you truly say that the Pac-12 leadership right now is great leadership and you can trust them to get to where you need to go when they quite literally have not gone to where they need to go? Their conference melted down. Everyone seems to forget this as well. Teresa Gould was in those rooms. Teresa Gould was part of this conference when it melted down. Like, did you forget that? Did you forget that she was part of the leadership that refused to do a streaming deal, and now all of a sudden streaming is everything to them? Like, it's easy to read between the lines here. Everyone, I saw in our comments section yesterday, everyone was like, "Oh, well, Monty, bro, she's only putting this statement out because she's concerned.
She's desperate.
She's worried. She's desperate."
Gloria Nevarez is putting out her statement from the Mountain West that we've read to already because she's desperate.
This statement has no desperation in it, in my opinion.
No.
This is I'm going to put a statement out to define the conversation a bit. Let's stop talking about, UNLV leaving this conference. They've signed an MOU. They're part of the foundation of this conference. They've committed to this conference. And yeah, we're working on extending that commitment into the future.
And I will just continue to tell you, if the Pac-12 is able to leverage a TV deal, and I think if you're, and let's just talk about UNLV. If you're UNLV and you leave the Mountain West is in a very bad spot. It would be devastating. I might even call it a death blow. All right. Do you agree with that?
If UNLV leaves the Mountain West?
If UNLV leaves the Mountain West.
Yeah. If the Mountain West loses UNLV, that would be really hard for them to replace. And at that point, I think you're talking about the conference disappearing.
I think that's exactly right.
Yeah.
Okay. What would it take for UNLV? And I know we don't do this in sports.
Careful now. Be careful.
Let's put our logical thinking caps on. What would it take for UNLV to leave the league? To go to the Pac-12? Because they're not going. I've been told multiple times for anything that's not at least $12 million. Okay, that makes sense to me. If you're getting $12 million, if you're net $12 million. Okay, so here's the question I ask you. If UNLV, who's got a binding agreement on paper with the Mountain West, wants to leave, are they joining a lawsuit to try and not pay exit fees? And is the Pac-12 going to join them to the lawsuit not to pay the poaching fees? Because again, and speaking to people who are involved in this situation, Gloria Nevarez in the Mountain West, they're hardcore, and this includes UNLV. They're dead set on not settling the lawsuit with the Pac-12 for the poaching fees. I think it is very likely you will see a reduction in exit fees as a negotiating tool because the Mountain West needs that money. The exiting members know the Mountain West needs that money. So, of course, you're going to pull the lever and try and negotiate that down. Totally get that. I think it's likely that happens. I find it very hard to believe that the Mountain West, who from what I understand, believes that they tried to help the Pac-12, and the Mountain West, from what I understand, believes they had an agreement in place to merge with the Pac-12 under the Pac-12 umbrella. After extending an olive branch when the Pac-12 fell apart, hey, sure, we'll schedule with you guys. Going to need you to sign this binding agreement, right? And again, this binding agreement where if you poach our members, you're going to have to pay a fee for that. Well, Marty, but that's invalid. Or, okay, does the agreement that included a poaching fee for the Pac-12 meet the legal standard of a contract?
Yes, of course.
Was there an offer?
Yes.
Hey, we'll schedule with you, but if you wind up taking our teams, you're going to have to pay us X amount of dollars. Okay. Did the Pac-12 accept that offer? Yeah, they signed consideration in exchange of value between the partners. Okay, we partners, Pac-12 Mountain West, we're extending you a scheduling agreement. It's valuable to you. It allows you to sell your TV games, and it allows you to play football games this past season. I think they exchange values. Is there a clear intention to create a legal relationship between the parties involved, meaning all parties understand they're entering in to a binding agreement with specific terms and obligations? I would say that yes. That, by what definition does either one of these deals not meet the legal requirement for a binding contract?
And furthermore, if it wasn't a binding contract, why are we negotiating exit fees?
And if it wasn't a binding contract, why are you suing?
So it is a binding contract, and stop making silly claims that it's not. It is.
I think it's very difficult to argue that the Pac-12 is going to be able to get out of that lawsuit, because if the people I talk to are correct, I do not see the Mountain West taking even a single step back.
Now, I think that the other question that doesn't get talked about a lot, or at least that I haven't seen people talking about this, is when you look at the motivation for the schools that did leave. I think we have the graphic of the schools they have.
Yep.
These schools, you look at this graphic, these schools right here that left the Mountain West to join this conference in 26. What was the sales package from the Pac-12? Hey, I'm just assuming, I'm speculating. Hey, we're going to be the best G5. And as part of that process, you can expect A, B, and C to take place. Like, hey, we're going to have a TV deal with CW, the streaming deal. We're going to do this, that, and the other. And you're going to be in a much better position. I can't imagine what else you would have said to these schools. So if you're Boise State sitting here, if you're any of these schools.
If you're Fresno State and Gonzaga, like Fresno State, with all due respect, and I know that it pisses people off that I say this, Fresno State has gained nothing by joining the Pac-12. You're irrelevant.
But the risk you took.
But that's my point. The risk reward here for Fresno State, for the lesser football brands, Fresno State, you look at, I would even like Utah State. What did Utah State gain by going to the Pac-12? I understand why Boise did it. I understand.
I'm still trying to understand it.
Oh, I understand fully, because Boise thought they were going to get a windfall of cash.
But we all understand, and that's true. I would agree with that. But we all understand, like, just because you went to the college football playoff and you've done well the last 2 seasons in football, that doesn't mean that your annual budget, the margins you have to play with, are massive or huge.
Boise State's in debt because of their expansion. I think they thought they were going to go into the Pac-12 and they were going to get a massive Brinks truck that was going to back up. And hey, we're going to sue. We're not going to pay the poaching fees. We're going to give you a lot of that money.
But I'm trying to understand if
that's
was
all
what
that can make
thought,
sense.
If that's what they thought, what were they told? How do they I'm legitimately to this day trying to understand, how does Boise State and anyone else, Fresno State, anyone else on that list, how are they seeing the playing field here?
And why did UNLV say no and Boise said yes? Because I think, and I know, again, the Pac-12 people are going to tell me I'm a homer. I think UNLV is doing business better than Boise is.
Mm-hmm.
Boise was looking for a payday. I look at Gonzaga. I think Gonzaga saw a G5 with a higher profile in the Pac-12, that they knew they would be the best basketball brand in that league year in and year out. They were going to get more money. They were going to make more money, and they were going to go to the NCAA tournament every single year. It was a cash grab for Gonzaga. I understand why they turned down the Big 12. We've talked about that at length on the show.
Right. That's not surprising.
I don't understand it. From the lesser Colorado State. What did you gain? What did Fresno State gain? I don't know if many Fresno State fans listen to the show anymore, because frankly, they were all so pissed off when I said that originally. You're an invisible athletic program outside of the Central Valley.
Yeah.
Frankly, nobody in Southern California, very few people in the Bay Area, because the Bay Area, for what it isn't, it is obsessed with the highfalutin, wine and cheese crowd that is Berkeley and Stanford.
Yeah.
Right. I'm confused by a lot of the business decisions that were made here. I don't
play
get it.
for Fresno State, let's say, hey, like this is a lesser football conference that we're kind of putting together here. Maybe that will help us get to more notoriety. I mean, I've spent a lot of time outside of when we do the show thinking about why would these schools do this? Why? What is because you can't tell me you did this for anything short of a guarantee of something.
Well, and the other part of that, it's interesting you say that. Wasn't part of your exit strategy that you were going to file a lawsuit?
Yeah, it had to be.
Show me in history where, especially in contract law, where in contract law history have you seen a contract shot down by a judge that didn't involve significant duress? And then if we move to the non-real life world of professional sports, where have you seen a team, a body, Al Davis, Los Angeles lawsuits, lost all of them? Where have you seen the Pac-12 and its exiting members suing the remaining two? They lost. The Florida State and Clemson essentially have lost.
Yeah.
Where have you seen people sue a league like this, go into a courtroom and win? It's never, there's no precedent. It's never happened.
Put it back on the screen, bro. What is a contract? This is not rocket science, dude. Hey, you've got an exchanging of values that both parties agree to, and that's it. Like, you can't say, and this is, you've said this a lot. We like to do this thing where it's like, hey, we like the rules until they're applied to us.
Yes.
This is contract law 101, dude. MOUs are binding. Anyone saying they're not doesn't understand contract law. They are binding. So the idea that Boise State and company were like, hey, let's set up our wagons and roll those wagons out to California, and we're going to go to greener pastures, and they didn't somehow consider this, you're out of your mind. This was always a play in the plan to leave the conference.
And I would note that the three words in the middle of this Gloria Nevarez statement that should terrorize you, if you're one of the UNLV fans who think that you're getting out of that league, grant of rights. Because again, I'm just going to ask you, where's the case law where a university is sued to get out of a grant of rights and won?
There isn't.
It's never happened. You think she accidentally put into that statement that UNLV? Because let's be honest, what is she talking about here? Is she talking about the other members of the Mountain West? No. What is she talking about? She's talking about UNLV. So what did she say in the statement? UNLV signed a grant of rights effective July 1st, 2026, running 6 years.
Yeah.
To 2032.
Yeah.
We've never, ever in the history of grant of rights documents seen somebody sue to get out. And finally, before I get to your comments, the other thing you got to stop doing if you're a Pac-12 fan and if you're a UNLV fan that wants out of the Mountain West, stop saying this is the Pac-12 situation. Well, Monty's, because here's the truth. How did all those schools get out of the Pac-12 grant of rights?
Well, they sued and they won, right?
No. The grant of rights was expiring.
Oh, so the contract ended and you just chose not to renew.
Did any of the exiting members of the Pac-12 pay an exit fee?
No. In fact, what was the conversation to that point? What was the conversation? What were they in court over?
I want the pot of money split up equally. The assets of the Pac-12 split up equally.
So we weren't talking about not leaving or penalties. Everybody was leaving. You were just talking about the plan for how you were going to split up the monies.
You were, and I think this is the best example I've ever heard. A legal guy I talked to the other day said, this is a divorce case. And the Pac-12, the exiting 10 members of the Pac-12 wanted their marital assets split up evenly. And the judge said, no, we're not doing that.
Because why weren't you doing that? Again, basic contract law. Hey, the agreement says this. We're
Right.
following it.
And the agreement in the Mountain West is very similar to the agreement in the Pac-12, which said as soon as you tell us you're leaving, you no longer have a say over conference business. So you know what I think is going to happen? How much of that $8 million do you think Boise's getting?
None.
If you want to negotiate, we're happy to negotiate. But we're going to include that $8 million you just brought into the league, and you're not going to get any of it.
Nice season.
That's the unintended consequences of your actions. So here are some questions. I'd love to see you guys comment on it. Does UNLV benefit from leaving the Mountain West to go to the Pac-12? If you're a UNLV fan, and I know we have a lot of you in Vegas and around the region, do you want UNLV to leave the Mountain West and go to the Pac-12? And why? Tell me why. Because I see all of you in the comments section. Tell me why you want UNLV to leave the Mountain West to go to the Pac-12. It
Pour
is
it out, bro.
fascinating to me that UNLV fans yesterday in the comments section, even there's like a UNLV blogger I was tweeting with, who everybody was in the comment section saying he's the leading UNLV voice. Okay. And I want to find this guy's name, Jason W. Kelly.
Yeah.
Who does a Substack. UNLV Sports, Let's Run podcast, all things UNLV. Subscribe to Substack. Okay, cool. They wouldn't be saying this, Monty, if there wasn't a reason to worry. To the Mountain West statement, to which I said, well, no, she's releasing that statement because she's negotiating a new TV deal. And she's got, according to people we talked to, multiple $1 million branding deals that they are negotiating that begin in 2026. So Coke or whoever,
right.
the State Farm Mountain West Championship, whatever it is, she's got multiple 7-figure deals she's negotiating and a new TV rights deal, which is what I said. Jason W. Kelly said, good luck with that, Monty. If UNLV stays in the worst college football conference in America.
So right there, quick pause button. This is what I'm talking about when I say UNLV fan should be lumped in with Pac-12 fan, because you're saying your current conference is the worst conference in college football, even though your conference had representation from the G5 level in the college football playoff, and you want to tell me it's the worst conference in college football?
And you were one game away from the college football playoff.
Like,
one game away.
Yeah.
Furthermore, Mr. Kelly says, acting like UNLV's joining the PAC is of no value is insane. Go ahead and compare the budgets of the new Pac-12 schools to those of the new Mountain West schools. What does that have to do with anything?
And we've not said, by the way, that UNLV leaving the Mountain West, we've not said there's no value there. I just said, and obviously I wasn't talking to him yesterday, but I think we've said repeatedly, and I just said 10 minutes ago, that if UNLV leaves the Mountain West, that's probably the end of the Mountain West as we know it. Like, I don't know how you would come back from that. It's the plight of the Pac-12 right now, right? Because the Pac-12, what have they not done? They have not added an 8th full member to round out the conference from a football standpoint. So why has that not taken place? Well, because there's not a bunch of schools sitting here available. And that's why when we talked about NIU to the Mountain West, that's why that was such a big deal. Because NIU was one of the last real quality opportunities from a conference standpoint to add a school to round out your conference. So I'm sorry. I disagree with what dude's name over here? I can't remember. I disagree, Kelly. I think that that UNLV is incredibly valuable, and that I also disagree. You're focused on the budgets and the budgeting of these schools. I'm focused on how they're going to survive and not be in $40 million deficits.
And again, the other thing that I wish people could understand, what you've done on the field doesn't mean anything in 99% of situations. When you're at the G5 level, what you've done on the field doesn't mean anything. What Boise did on the field this year Explain to me, if you are the Pac-12 and you are negotiating with any distribution partner, do you really think that distribution partner is like, well, holy hell, Linda, they went to the college football playoff. We better do this deal. No, because what is a TV distribution partner, a linear TV distribution partner? NBC, CBS, hell, ABC, Disney, anybody. They care about one thing.
Yeah.
How many people are going to watch your games? Period. That's it. So when you're talking about the Pac-12, and I still maintain from everything that I've heard, and I think our track record speaks for itself.
Yeah.
Everybody I talk to in TV tells me that their linear TV partner is going to be the CW. So you are a regional sports carriage. The CW and its affiliates will carry you regionally.
Right.
And then I think what's going to happen is you're going to have a streaming component, which will include a fast channel for your conference. And I think you will probably have a CBS Sports Network or
something like that.
Breaking news. So here we go. In TV, breaking news. In a critical step towards securing the stability for the conference, ESPN has agreed to pick up its option to continue broadcasting ACC sports through 2036.
Whoa! I thought ESPN was way out on Florida State and ESPN.
Yeah, they were opting out.
They were going to opt out, bro. I thought that's what was taking place.
And a buddy of mine in sports television, who just sent me that story, makes a very good point. This is exactly what you guys are talking about this morning. This locks Clemson and Florida State into the ACC for the foreseeable future, or a super league happens.
Yeah. Right? Like, this is not hard. Like, God, it's just not hard to understand what's happening here.
Because what was the crux? What was the crux of the ACC versus Florida State and Clemson? There was, impropriety and fraud involved in the ACC's negotiation with ESPN. And how do we know that? Because the ACC won't show us the contract between the ACC and ESPN. And real quick, here's how that works. Everybody in that conference, in every conference, signs a grant of rights. They don't sign that with ESPN. You are granting the conference your permission to sell your television home games to a television partner.
Right.
So your agreement isn't with ESPN, it's with the conference. The conference then turns around and makes a deal with ESPN in this case. Florida State and Clemson had argued that there was improprieties in the agreement and that's why they should be able to get out of the grant of rights. And they knew there were improprieties because the ACC would not provide those members with a copy of the contract that they could review. They were making them go to the ACC headquarters to review the document. And if they would just give us the ESPN contract, we could prove that there's fraud and we can undo the grant of rights. Okay. A judge said, give them a copy of the ESPN contract.
Which makes sense.
So what did Florida State and ACC fans say? Oh, it's over, Marty. Hey, fat ass pork chop dick, you're done. We're out of here.
Fat.
Well, that happened last summer. They got a copy of the contract. And as I told you, that was a standard boilerplate broadcast agreement.
Nothing to see.
And so now, because the litigation and stuff, and do you really think if there was misgivings in that contract, you really think ESPN would be executing that extension today? Its option to extend this deal to 2036. Do you really think ESPN would have extended that deal? I'm here to tell you they would not have.
And again, what's contract law? Right? Because we don't know what we're talking about, right? And we haven't been able to get to the comments yet, but I'm sure there are loads of people saying, you have no idea what you're talking about. This is contract law 101. This is not hard to understand, man.
JC says, Monty, you're being an ass. You know for a fact anything and everything starts with winning. No, my guy, you're a fan. And I've said this every day on the show. Take your fandom out of it. There's not a guy sitting in a TV network boardroom who gives a rat's ass about whether or not, and I don't know what you're a fan of, JC, but whether your team won or lost games last year. You know what they care about? Making money. Their only job is to make money. Everybody thinks we do a sports talk show. Jake, what do we actually do?
Sales.
We do sales. We sell a sports talk show. When you're talking about, and again, JC, I'm guessing. You just insulted me, so I'm guessing you're probably a UNLV or a Boise fan. Just a guess. You're saying that UNLV and Boise winning on the field makes the Pac-12 more valuable. No, it does not. Not when you're sitting across a table or on a Zoom call with a TV executive and you're trying to get him to give you $100 million a year. Because what's he going to say? Well, you guys won on the field. All right, let's do it. No. You know what they're going to say? Hey, show me your viewership. How many people are going to watch this?
How many people in Boise are going to watch this?
Hey, so you've got, and again, here's what I'm asking you. Without knowing, JC, what you're a fan of. Here's what I'm asking you. What's the massive TV market?
Well, San Diego, Monty.
San Diego is not a massive TV market. And one of the things that I've consistently talked about on the show when it comes to San Diego State, does San Diego State deliver you Los Angeles? So if I am Longo Toyota in Southern California, if I am a big Toyota dealer, am I going to advertise on the CW during Mountain West football games because I need Los Angeles? No, I'm not. I'm not. Where am I going to, if I'm Southern California Toyota, where am I spending my money?
USC.
San Diego State does not.
Furthermore, you're going to look at USC. You're going to look at the Dodgers, 100%. Go watch games from last year. What was all over their ballpark? Toyota, right? So and by the way, I'd also point this out. The people doing those deals typically are not at the dealership.
Yeah.
The people doing those deals are at the headquarters that are typically in the Midwest or on the East Coast. And they're just looking at numbers. That's it.
And I just want to reiterate this. For me, it's not personal. I'm not a fan of the Pac-12 or the Mountain West.
Oh, it's personal for Pac-12 fan, though.
I totally get that. I'm telling you right now, when you're sitting in a boardroom, nobody cares what your win and loss record was last year. Nobody cares. In fact, my guess is if you want to have a win and loss conversation, and you want to buy winning and losing, are you going to buy the Mountain West or the Pac-12? You're not.
No.
You're not, because nobody knows. Nobody has any idea what Jeff Tedford's record at Fresno State was. Like, nobody cares about it. When it comes to TV deals, I will just continue to tell you, it's all about how much viewership you can deliver to that TV partner so they can go and sell it to Toyota.
Yeah.
And if you're on this graphic, Boise, Fort Collins, Colorado, Fresno, Spokane, Corvallis, San Diego, Logan, Utah, do you really think that anybody does Utah State deliver?
No.
Salt Lake? No.
Nope. Never has, never will.
And again, Washington State's a great example of this. Do you really think that Washington State delivers Seattle? It does not. But Monty, they do have fans there. Who delivers Seattle?
UW.
Who delivers Denver? Colorado. So you guys can hate all you want. Yes, we'll always be indebted to the Wolf Pack. Hence the loss to them at home. Does Cal deliver San Francisco?
Well, what I think is so funny too, like I think we're all aware that San Diego doesn't deliver LA. Like there's a ton of those examples we've just gone through. What I think is so funny is that Pac-12 fan, guys like JC or any of these other dudes out here, want to come in here insult us, call us dumb, say that we're being asses.
Wait, are you a Fresno State fan? Lesser brand. In terms of winning football, Fresno State is tied with Boise State at the top of the Mountain West. My guy, nobody has any idea what Fresno State's record has been. I only know because I'm a degenerate sports loser. They're a solid football program. They put dudes in the NFL.
But we're not talking. See, this is the difference. You got to be able to separate. You got to separate your fandom of Fresno State and what they've been doing versus what a TV executive is going to look at. Your argument here, and I get it because you're a fan, and that's fine. But your argument doesn't hold water here. You're saying that, hey, well, look at their record. They've competed at the top of the Mountain West. Like, they're a relevant team. Sure, in the Mountain West, in parlance of that conversation, they might be relevant. If you're having a conversation about, hey, who's going to win the Mountain West? Yeah, you got to talk about Fresno State a little bit, right? Like, it's probably going to be Boise State, UNLV, obviously, and then Fresno State can be in that conversation on some level. But you're not, what you can't do is say, hey, because you've been contending for the Mountain West or you're tied with Boise State for wins in the last couple of seasons or whatever. That doesn't mean a damn thing to TNT executives or CBS executives or Fox executives or ESPN. Nobody cares. That's not the point. That's not the conversation they're having. They're having a conversation about, hey, well, in San Diego or in Boise or whichever market you want to look at, there's not enough people that regularly watch the live broadcast to justify us spending loads of money. So then you think about that and you're like, wow, it actually makes sense that the Pac-12 is really struggling to get a media rights deal because they don't have big market teams that bring in big television deals. Why do you think the Pac-12, was so strong? Because you had Oregon and Washington and Utah right. and USC.
You had the UCLA basketball brand.
You had all the major markets in the mountain, regionally speaking, not conference, like regionally in the Mountain West and on the West Coast. So with all due respect, this is my point, bro. This is my point. You guys are taking this stuff so personally that you can't have an honest conversation.
Yeah, you guys, you have to look at what is delivered. Did you guys hear Mick Cronin, the head coach at UCLA yesterday? And I didn't have time to get the video to Jake to cut it, but Mick Cronin essentially sat up on a dais the other day and ripped the Big Ten teams for bitching about coming to LA once a year. Do you think UCLA regrets leaving the Pac-12? They do.
Uh-huh.
Why do they regret that? Why do they regret the conference collapse? Because Mick Cronin sat up there and complained about having to go back to the East Coast for long trips 4 times a year.
Yeah.
And Big Ten teams are complaining they have to come to Los Angeles once per season. Mick Cronin and UCLA, Arizona, why did Arizona go to the Big 12? Because they didn't want to go back east 4 times a year, man.
Yes.
Like, this stuff is not convenient. But UCLA did it for the money. They're Los Angeles. They're UCLA basketball. I say UCLA basketball, you think of John Wooden.
Yeah.
When I say Fresno State football, who do you think of? And I got news for you. Most television sports executives are not sports fans.
Nope.
I know a number of them.
It's a math equation.
Yeah, they're not sports fans. They don't know about the cars. They don't know about Devontae. They don't know. They don't even care, man. So when I say, I can say to non-sports fan, university president, right? The person making decisions. Hey, UCLA basketball. Who? John Wooden, Bill Walton. Hey, Fresno State football. Do they play football at Fresno State? That would probably be the answer I would get. And I'm not even being a jerk about it. I'm not even joking.
Yeah.
And JC, if you truly are a Fresno fan, I understand it. You're in limbo as a Fresno fan. Big Papa War Machine. Billable hours remain undefeated.
100%,
Yes, they do.
100%.
Yes, they do.
100%.
Yes, for the last 18 months of supporting your show, the only team I've ever talked about is Fresno State. So please don't call me a hater. Who's calling?
No one called you a hater, dude. I didn't call you a hater.
You guys, you're making it personal. It's not personal. It's business. This is a business conversation.
The thing here, JC, that you're not what you're failing to do here, my man, is you're not telling us why. You're just saying we disagree. I'm telling you, punch for punch, why I disagree with your assertion that Fresno State would be some, big swinging school in a TV conversation. But I'm not hearing why.
I'm telling you that the thing that I always talk about on the show, there's nothing I'm ever going to say on the show that I haven't asked somebody else in a position of knowledge. And in this case, I talk to a lot of TV executives. Do you think we've accidentally been right? Do you think we're just throwing shit against the wall and hoping?
The ESPN thing might be the best example, bro. Like, everyone said we were stupid. Literally, people were in our comment section during the show and after the show saying that we were idiots and we're
trust
homers,
me, bro.
And we have no sources and no idea what we're talking about. Like, we're literally telling you guys what's going to happen months before it happens. We told you that they were going to pick up the option, and that you were not getting out of this grant of rights.
It's incredibly cheap.
Like
the ACC deal for ESPN, what should piss off Florida State and the others, and it does, they make no money on their TV deal with ESPN because it's so cheap.
Yeah.
And it's especially for basketball. Well, the ACC is struggling in basketball, but you think Cooper Flagg is making them money? You want to talk about, here's the difference. JC, Duke basketball, Fresno State football. What's more valuable? There's not even a conversation. And Duke is in Durham, North Carolina, for crying out loud.
But nobody cares that they're in Durham.
No.
Because they're relevant. They've always got the best players.
Massive,
they've always got
overwhelming brand that means their market's irrelevant because 8,000 doctors in this country went to Duke Medical.
Yeah.
50 million attorneys went to Duke Law. And Cooper Flagg's a stud. And Mike it's got to be overwhelming. Trust me, you will be so much better off in these conversations if you can find a place in your fandom to take your emotion out of it. Take your emotion out of it. And then you're going to say, well, we're having common sense conversations. All right, if I'm ESPN and ABC as an example, NBC, pick your TV network, and I've got Teresa Gould and her partner sitting across the table from me asking me for $100 million a year. Furthermore, if I've got George Kleov Stupid's cock sitting across the table from me asking me for $500 million
back to the envelope calculations,
and I have USC football in Oregon, and I'm still saying no. There's a value proposition that's not there.
Yeah.
And it's not about brands at that point. It's about return on investment. If I bring in JC, if I bring in Fresno State, and I say, well, we've got the Fresno market. If you're talking to any of the major television players that are not named FS1, that are not named CBS Sports Network, tell me why I would buy Fresno State football. And one of my TV friends yesterday made a really good point. Who's got inventory to sell? ESPN and ABC do not. NBC, Big Ten, or here comes Saturday night. NBC, CBS do not. You're probably, your best television partner is probably Discovery with TNT. That's probably your best TV route. And facts of the matter are, they're already talking to the Big 12. They're already talking to the Mountain West. And I would assume they're talking to the Pac-12. Because I almost can say with certainty TNT is looking to pick up college basketball and football.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a 99% thing that's going to happen.
Yeah.
So
they got to pick something up.
But who's got, that's the other thing that I hope people understand. who's got the ability to put more games on TV? Because the Pac-12 will in all likelihood, if ESPN is involved in a Pac-12 deal, it's digital. It's for ESPN Plus. Because you just don't have the television space to do that.
Yeah.
Do the math, man. It's not difficult. TJ Beck. Monty, how long will Washington State and Oregon State supposed windfall from the departing members of the Pac-12 last them while the fund at the Power 4 level? Not long. It's a Band-Aid on bigger media lacking of funds. I think, TJ, it's an interesting question because you're already in a position where that money is spent.
Yeah, it's allocated.
Because you have to, beyond your operations, day-to-day operations, you're splitting that money up that you had whatever windfall you want to call it. That money's going to Boise State. It's going to Gonzaga. It's going, like, you bought and paid for them with that money.
That's the hard part about the legal fees and everything going
Yes.
on is like, I don't know where you're going to get, I don't know where you're going to get the revenue to just continue to fight this. And this is why the ESPN thing, it's so funny how all this works. That we had no idea the ESPN thing was going to come out this morning. No idea. But it's funny that came out this morning because what did Florida State go through? Well, Florida State, what was going after ESPN, right? And the CFP, and we all remember that whole thing. But then once they got through that contract that was supposed to have, a smoking gun in it, they realized, hey, like, we're screwed. We don't have a way out. We are at the behest of ESPN. So let's stop spending all the money on the legal team. Put a pause on the spending. And that's my biggest concern with the Pac-12 right now is you don't have $500 million just sitting in a coffer somewhere.
No.
It's not like it's endless.
So JC is upset that we haven't read his previous comments. So I'm trying to go back. You guys, we get a lot of comments. I try to read as many of our comments. And usually when we have this many comments, we generally will only read member comments. So JC, if I go back to your previous comments, cue delusional uppity Boise State fan. This is a new reality. Both Fresno State and San Diego State have to carry the new Pac-12 based on population metrics. They won't because of outdoor luxury lifestyles in San Diego and the poverty issue in the Valley. And I just will continue to tell you what I hear from TV people. Fresno State has very little value. And I almost don't want to do this. Because of the current state of politics in this country, read between the lines, the population in the Central Valley is changing and shrinking.
Right.
So the value of Fresno as a TV market was already not great. And now with the changing cultural climate, it's not great either. So then you plug in UNLV and what Las Vegas is becoming. Do you guys understand that not only are you building multiple professional sports footprints there, you have, I think it's 3 major motion picture studios building facilities there, building sound stages, building offices. That's why UNLV is such a big fight. But to your point, San Diego State, the problem for San Diegans is on a Saturday afternoon, especially in the fall, do you want to be sitting in your living room watching TV or do you want to be at the beach or playing golf or walking your dog or hiking or there's just so many other things to do. And your team is not good in football. Basketball, different story. Football. So I just think it's a real battle, but I'm not ignoring your comment. David Humes, my guy, the Tua fan is in the room. Good to see you, David. I'm the only UNLV fan I know that thinks leaving the PAC is for the PAC is stupid. They have nothing in place, and it's all empty promises till there's actually a concrete TV deal in place. That's the whole 9 of it.
100% true.
That's exactly right. I don't know what they're selling. I don't know. Steve Walgabat says, good morning, go Bucks. Hello. Jeff Johnson, Amazon, Apple, etc. Get in where you fit in. Well, I think streaming is going to have to be a significant part of that deal. The fast channel and streaming component of whatever the Pac-12 is trying to put together, I think you have a little bit of CW as your main linear partner because they are fantastic as a regional distributor. And then you get in with like a somebody that's stream, and then you build a fast channel, and you have that fast channel placed on every manufacturer that you can. And I think you try to do the best that you can do. Welcome to the nightmare. Complaining over not getting your comment read. There's hundreds of comments. Who are you, Oak State James? Well, I can tell you hundreds. There's almost 1,000 comments this morning.
Yeah.
From all platforms. Like, when you think about the fact that live right now, there's 1,000 people watching the show, a quarter of them comment, just think about what that volume looks like. Because hello to everybody on Twitter, Facebook, SoundCloud, everywhere that this show is broadcast. I can't read everybody's comments. It's why we value our members so much. If you want your comment read, for instance, welcome to the nightmare. If you're a member, I'm going to read your comment first. Fat Jesus, also a member of the show. San Diego is a huge TV market, said the Clippers and Chargers.
Facts.
I agree. JC, I'm not because you're doing a great job.
Got a comment right above that. I think that was
okay. I guess I woke up choosing violence today, but again, I did and have given you reasons, and I dislike reposting the same sentiment. I'm with you, dude. It's not personal. You know, I just, you know, which is fine. Charisse, JC, you act like Fresno State is some great football program. It's actually a really good football program.
Is fine.
It's a good football program.
We're not sitting here hating on the football itself. It's more about just relevancy in the bigger picture to a TV executive.
The problem for Fresno has always been they're between two behemoths, the Bay Area and Los Angeles, San Diego. And trust me, I've spent far too many hours in the great city of Reedley, California. I'm telling you now, it's a very difficult place. And climate, politics, the geopolitical landscape has completely changed the Central Valley now.
Yeah.
Like this.
Next comment.
It is what it is. Anyway, so Fresno State, Jeremy Bolton. Fresno State is like the Ogden of California.
Excellent poll.
Jeremy, good to see you. Good to see you. Breaking news. No, because then I got to go into. No. Nope. I'm not playing your Utah Tech games today, Jeremy. The awkward guy. Are the Cowboys tanking for Arch Manning? Arch will probably play Texas 2 years. Cowboys pick up more picks, draft Arch 1, and then get DM with a few more years of experience. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay,
about
first
that.
of all, I think that's probably a little bit of a different day.
Yeah, but you're like projecting way forward. I think Jerry's dead in 2 years, let alone hiring Deion Sanders. Jeremy Bolton says, don't do it. Okay, I won't.
Smiles and glory holes.
I won't do it. Wow, dude, we're almost 3 hours into the show. We're almost in hour number 3. That's crazy already. The Monty Show is always presented by the Advocates at theadvocates.com. Do we need, what's the right way to say this? Do we need sports games to be faster, shorter, and take less time? Let's talk about that after this from the Advocates.
Hi, Sarah. Your dad told me about your accident. Can you tell me how it happened?
Still kind of going through it, but I was stopped at a light, and then this car I heard it come up behind me, and bam, and it's kind of like in slow motion.
Monty?
The Advocates at theadvocates.com. Let them take all of the consternation away from you. Let the advocates fight the claims process. Let the advocates battle your insurance company. Because again, I'll tell you every single day, look at the fires in Southern California. Well, it wasn't the fire that damaged your home. It was the water to fight the fire. It wasn't the hurricane And the winds that damaged your home, it was the flood that the hurricane caused. Technically, that's flood insurance and you don't have it.
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Hey, did you guys make your premium payment? I'm showing you're 35 days past due. That's what insurance companies are about. Let the advocates fight for you. You get back to the best version of yourself. Got hurt at work yesterday. The advocates at theadvocates.com. Did some idiot hit you while recklessly driving? The advocates at theadvocates.com. If you've been injured in a wreck or you've been hurt, call the advocates, get online, chat with an injury attorney for free. It won't cost you a dime. 24/7, 365. The advocates meet you where you are. They know it's one of the worst days of your life. Let them take that pain away. You get back to the best version of yourself. The best part is you never reach into your pocket to pay the advocates, because you don't pay the advocates unless and until they win your case. All right. If you're just tuning into the show this morning, let's run through some of the headlines, because I think there's a lot of them. No doubt about it. This plane crash in Washington, if you did not hear, 60 passengers on an American Airlines regional jet. 4 crew members of a Black Hawk helicopter are all presumed dead this morning as their helicopter and plane collided over the Potomac in Washington as an American Airlines regional jet that was carrying the United States Figure Skating Association figure skaters, staff, and family members, as well as several members of the Russian Federation, back from Wichita, where the United States Figure Skating Championships were being contested. It collided, their regional jet did, with a Black Hawk helicopter over the Potomac. Both of those aircraft crashed into the Potomac. This morning, American Airlines has confirmed that there were 60 members on that plane, 60 lives on that plane. The military confirming 4 members on the Black Hawk helicopter. All are presumed dead this morning in the Potomac River, which is frigid and cold. There is no known cause for the midair collision at this point. But unfortunately, all 64 lives have been lost in that collision. Other headlines this morning, ESPN has made it official, and I would like to congratulate you and such as in like myself, because we beat Pete Thamel by 22 minutes on his own story.
Okay.
That ESPN has elected to exercise its option with the ACC and will continue to carry ACC sporting events, including football and basketball, through 2036.
Nice.
That came out this morning. Yesterday, Gloria Nevarez released a statement on behalf of the Mountain West, where she pretty clearly was talking about UNLV. She confirmed our reporting from yesterday morning. Hey, Gloria, thanks for watching the show.
Gloria's been on the show before.
She has been a guest on the show. That all of her members have cemented their commitment to the Mountain West by executing a grant of rights affected July 1st, 2026 through June 30th, 2032. Obviously, this speaks to the conversation about, is UNLV leaving the Mountain West to go to the Pac-12? There was an argument about what a binding agreement is, and was the memo of understanding binding. We are told, and I believe this confirms, that in fact it is a binding agreement. It even has language on the memo of understanding that says it is a binding agreement. Here before you, I present from Harvard Law the terms of which makes an agreement signed. And I would also remind you, this is for oral contracts as well, spoken contracts, but pen to paper, these are the foundational items needed to make a contract, to make something binding, a legal contract. And if you believe Gloria's statement, and you believe our reporting from sources, that memo of understanding is a contract, and it is binding.
Facts.
And it includes, now we know, a grant of rights through 2036. So all of that, as well as the PGA Tour. Here's a question that will be centered around the PGA Tour. Does the PGA Tour have a pace of play problem? And does the PGA Tour need to find a way to shorten tournaments? Very interesting comments yesterday. that now there is talk that professional golfers on the PGA Tour will be allowed to use a rangefinder. Now, it wasn't me, but I don't want to name names. Certain people walked into our studio this morning all pissed off and bent about the fact that PGA Tour players were going to be able to use rangefinders. Jake, do you have any clarity on those feelings or positions?
Yeah, I mean, I think number one, tour players should not be using rangefinders because that's part of what makes a great professional golfer, right? What people who don't watch golf, what you don't understand is that the caddy isn't just carrying the clubs, right? The caddy and the player both have what's called a yardage book that they carry with them as they walk the course and play the round. And every time, whether it's a tee shot, iron shot, chip shot, whatever it might be, they're going to talk about, hey, like, how far are we away? You know, where do we want to hit this shot? You know, what kind of trajectory, what kind of shape, you know, what's the wind doing?
They all get a book. So I think it's important because I interrupted you to say this. When you're a professional golfer and you go to a course, they're at Pebble Beach this week. Usually those guys on Tuesday, some of them show up on Wednesday. If you've played the course 1,000 times, you'll show up on Wednesday. Tuesday and Wednesday are practice rounds. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday are the 4 rounds of the tournament. They're all provided yardage books. So when you go to a course, some have them, some don't. You can, for about $5, you can buy a book that'll tell you from this bunker to the middle of the green is 161 yards. So what they do during their practice rounds, they'll go out there with rangefinders and this book. They will hit their tee shots and they'll measure from the tee. We do this all the time.
All the time. From
the tee. Hey, you see that bunker down the left side of the fairway? Well, let me laser that. Oh, that bunker's 260. No worries. You know, I generally carry my driver 285.
Yeah, we're going to go right over it.
Your landing zone is has a bunker in it. All right, we need to so they shoot that, then they make notes in the book. And then they'll say, okay, well, in the book, it says it's 261 to the middle of the green from here. Shoot that with a laser. Yep, 261 on the dot. So that when the tournament starts and they get to that hole, they can flip open their book. And that's how they create yardage and distance. And they understand, well, from right here, well, from that bunker over there, it's 261, but I'm 5 yards ahead. Let's hit our best 255 shot.
They're essentially building each shot together.
Every shot of the tournament.
Yeah.
Last week at Torrey Pines for the Farmers, the final round took 5 hours and 52 minutes, which is excruciatingly long. So the argument is, well, if we give the PGA professional a rangefinder, it'll take them less time to figure out the shot distance.
Here's why that's an ignorant take, in my opinion. I think that Torrey Pines specifically is an incredibly difficult course.
It is.
We had the pleasure of playing it over the holidays while we were on break away from the show. And the Farmers Insurance Open just happened last week. And when we were there in December and played the course, they were preparing the course to have it in shape for the tour to arrive and play it, which means that they were growing the rough out and like they make adjustments to the course. And so when I heard, hey, well, Torrey Pines took almost 6 hours, that's not because they don't know the distance of the shot, dude.
No, and here's the other problem with that. They have other tours around the world, right? And here in the United States, the AAA, the minor league tour, is called the Corn Ferry Tour. They use rangefinders on the Corn Ferry Tour, and it saves them 4 minutes a round.
Yeah. Because the thing is, the only thing that the rangefinder does is just tells you, hey, from where you're standing in a straight line to the flag, this is how far it is. It just tells you the distance.
And we have the nicest range, the best, the highest rated one. Like we have like rocket ship rangefinder guy. It has slope, so it'll tell you, hey, from here to that pin is 200 yards, but it's playing downhill. So actually, it's only 186 yards. They're not allowed to do that in professional golf. Use a rangefinder, you have to have the slope feature turned off. So all of this to say, you know what? You know why golf rounds take so long? Torrey Pines, throw it out. I agree with you. It's impossible. They take so long because you have certain golfers that will be 110 yards off the green hitting a wedge, and they want to walk up there. Well, what's the slope of the green? And I feel it here, and I'm going to walk back there. Okay, you're just going to walk back and hit the shot right away. No, I'm going to stand there and let me throw some grass and let me.
Even though in the yardage book they have each hole in the yardage book has a portion where it's just the green telling you
what the slope
is, where the flag's going to be.
You've probably before the tournament, you've played that hole probably 2 or 3 times. If it's one of the more difficult holes, you've probably played it from different angles.
Yeah.
Because when guys are preparing for tournaments, they go and they will hit where their likely landing spots are, because every PGA Tour professional knows exactly how they hit the ball and where it's going to land.
Yeah.
They know exactly where it's going to land. You know that green. You know that slope. The problem is they're taking 5, 6, 10, 12 minutes. Matt Kuchar is one of the slowest golfers in the world. And he'll take 5, 7, 10 minutes. And he'll walk up to the green and walk back. He'll walk over here, hit. You've got to start. We have the soundbite we always play. You got to start stroking, dudes.
Agreed.
Right?
Yeah.
What you have to do is, and they already have this. This is the thing that makes me crazy about golf.
Honestly, I'd start stroking guys.
You have a rule, an official that walks with most groups, or at a minimum is on every hole.
Yeah.
And they've got a stopwatch. Every golfer's on the clock. Once you get to your ball, once you arrive to your shot, hey, I teed off. It's 285 yards down the fairway on the left side. Okay. You walk that 285 and you're standing at your ball. The clock starts. You have 3 minutes to hit that shot. Right now, they don't enforce it. If you lose your ball on the PGA Tour, you have 3 minutes to find that ball. If you cannot find it in 3 minutes, you have to take a penalty. They do not enforce
the standard rule, the technicality is that, like on a driver, if you're hitting driver from the tee, you have 40 seconds from the moment that the tee itself hits the ground. That's the rule in the book.
On a tee box.
On a tee box.
It is very, but they don't enforce it.
Right. Yeah.
So, and you look at all of their stuff is different. Hey, if I'm looking for a lost ball, if I'm on the fairway, they don't enforce it.
Yeah.
So what you have to do is now you're going to have a guy with a stopwatch. And what happens is you get a warning, and we hear this all the time. Hey, that group is on the clock for pace of play, which means the entire group will lose a stroke if they do not keep up with the group in front of them. If you're in the fairway, when that group ahead of you gets off the green, you are supposed to be playing ready golf and hit the ball. Anyway, all of this to say, I do think you have to start penalizing guys. Pace of play in golf is terrible, but don't fundamentally change the game.
Yeah.
Adam Silver. Jake plays me a soundbite before the show that's copyright, so we couldn't play it.
Yeah.
Adam Silver talking about going to 10-minute quarters to shorten NBA games. Why? I can understand if you want to take timeouts, if you want to shrink timeouts down to like 2 per quarter. Okay, I get that.
Or it's really just, it's at the end of quarters, at the end of the game when we're taking timeout after timeout after timeout after timeout.
When a 30 seconds left on the game clock is 15 minutes.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Totally get that.
But I just think for the PGA Tour, I don't want to lose the element of the caddy and the player putting in that work during the week to dial in their shots and then going out on the course and executing those shots. One of my favorite things, and again, if you don't watch golf, I'm not here for the golf is dumb and stupid guy. If you're that guy, get the hell out of here. Like, golf is a beautiful game when you appreciate the little things, right? Just the same way football is, or basketball or hockey or any other sport. Golf shouldn't take 5.5 hours, but at Torrey Pines, there needs to be some understanding when you've got the Santa Ana winds howling at 40 and the rough is 4 inches, you're going to take almost 6 hours to play the round. That's a reality, like, because most tee shots are not going to be in the fairway, which means you're going to have to go and find them, which typically in that kind of rough is going to take 10 to 15 minutes.
But we've also gotten to a place where PGA golfers are incredibly entitled. They treat volunteers. There's a lot of these golfers that treat volunteers like crap. We had a girlfriend of a professional golfer attacking volunteers because they couldn't find her boyfriend's drive, which was errant. Nobody could find it. And he took a penalty stroke. And so his girlfriend gets on social media and rips the volunteers. Do you know how hard it is to find a ball in the rough at Torrey Pines?
Yeah.
I am not, as you said, we played it several weeks ago. I've never lost more balls than I lost in that round. And good drives into the fairway that roll off into the rough, your ball's gone. Forget
legitimately
it. Forget
can't
it.
see the ball.
Forget it. It's gone. It's over. Anyway, please don't do what baseball has done. The pitch clock throwing over to first base has fundamentally changed the game. And it makes it less enjoyable. Please do not do that.
You know what I'll even say? Like, baseball's a good example. I was, and still am, very much against the pitch clock and these new rules that they've instituted. But the pitch clock can be absorbed, right? The pitch clock can be tolerated. I understand, hey, you know what? Like 30 seconds, 15 seconds. Okay, I'm almost okay with the pitch clock at this point. What I'm not okay with, and this plays directly to the rangefinder thing, I'm not okay with you taking away the cat and mouse nuance game between the pitcher and the runner, right? If the pitcher wants to throw over there 10 times during an at-bat, that's his prerogative. That's part of the strategy of the game.
Yes.
And with PGA Tour golf, one of the best parts about it is like, hey, I'm only 110 yards out, but the wind, so I'm going to hit a low 9-iron here, and I'm only going to half swing it, and like that's part of the greatness of watching professional golfers do their thing and do things you can't do on a golf course.
But we all know the golfers who are super slow.
Yeah.
And it's painful to watch.
And
man.
what's funny is when you're playing, when it's like we're just playing with dudes, I love the guy who goes out on a golf course and takes, probably 10 minutes standing over his ball and waggles it 50 times before he hits the ball.
It's even the guy, like when we play, Jake, what drives me crazy is you amateur golfers, we lose a lot of golf balls. Don't take 10 minutes looking for your ball on a mountainside. Like when we play at Glenmore in South Jordan, Utah a lot.
Yeah.
There's the fourth hole at Glenmore is a dog leg. It kind of turns left and then goes back right. And there's a big hillside. You have guys that'll climb that hillside looking for their golf ball. And it'll waste 10 minutes. And it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah. Why are you, if you're going to lose golf balls like that, why are you playing Pro V1s?
Yeah.
Like
this is akin to, well, don't talk to me about golf balls right now. The cost of golf balls, if you're an idiot that will only play a Pro V1 as an amateur golfer, I just don't know what you're doing. Do you understand that you're paying more than $5 per golf ball? And I play noodles, and right now I'm playing a lot of TP5.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not paying $50 a dozen for golf balls. I'm not doing it. But anyway, here nor there. This is akin to putting a guy on second base in extra innings.
It's stupid.
This is akin to, just please don't do it. Please don't do it.
I don't know. How about we make Matt Kuchar play a little bit quicker? How about we say, like, I'm all good. If you want to make it part of the PGA Tour that you've got 3 minutes, let's say, to hit your shot after the green is clear, after you're cleared to go ahead and hit the shot, I'm good with that.
I think 3 minutes is too long.
Whatever it is, whatever the number is, like a minute or whatever.
Enforce the time limit. Enforce it. Start taking strokes off of guys. Penalize them.
Yeah.
And trust me, they will play faster.
Yeah.
They will play faster. Jeff Johnson says TP5 is a great ball. I generally will play a TP5 picks, and I buy them used. My favorite brand new golf ball is PXG.
Yeah.
And it's $2 a ball. I love the PXG golf ball. I also play a lot of noodle. I was playing Kirkland, but they stopped making the yellow Kirkland ball. And I'm like, why? Can't get it anymore. My point is, I'm not paying $50 a dozen. You're out of your mind.
Yeah.
You're out of your mind. We recently had this discussion.
Mm-hmm.
Do you, at our level,
mm-hmm.
do we see a performance drop off in used golf balls? Mint used golf balls. So they're not scuffed, they're not cut. You can't live. I've got 200 TP5 picks sitting on my kitchen table right now. You cannot tell a difference between that used TP5 picks and a brand new ball.
Yeah.
If it's just looking at it.
Yeah, they look.
We went to the simulator the other day, still going 300 yards off the driver.
Yeah.
I'm not good enough.
I just don't think that as an amateur golfer,
amateur
golfer.
Thank you.
That you're going to see any type of performance difference unless the ball is scuffed or cut. The surface of the ball, if the surface of the ball is good, you really shouldn't see too much of a difference because you're not, like, with all due respect, I'll speak on myself. I'm not good enough to feel the difference in compression on a golf ball.
No.
My swing is not good enough to do that.
Nope.
Now I can tell you there is a huge difference between like a TB5 Pix and like a plastic range ball.
Yes.
Those are two different things.
We
right?
notice a difference when you are using like there's a lot of dudes who steal golf balls from the range.
Right.
You're a cheap SOB. I'm not doing that. That ball does not fly as far because it's taken
in the
hundreds of hits.
The thing that I notice about golf balls, and I'll be really curious, I don't think we'll notice a difference with those TB5s you got at all. But when you're chipping, that's where I think what most amateurs don't consider, the performance of the ball when you chip, there is sometimes a difference. Like, what's the spin control like? Like, how much, like, how hard does it land?
Pro V1, and I'm telling you right now,
yeah,
the Pro V1 and the PXG ball are dead even around the green.
They're the same ball, dude.
I can backspin them well. I can stop them. I've learned, one of the things I've really learned now is how to hit a flop shot, how to pop a ball up in the air. I know now how to pop that ball up in the air and put backspin on it. But there are certain balls, like the noodle golf ball does not backspin as well.
Yeah.
It does not spin as well. So, you know, it's fine. Anyway, my point is, please don't fundamentally change golf.
Yeah.
Please do not do that. That would make me crazy.
And now the topic that none of us want to talk about.
Stay hard.
So the Utah Hockey Club announced the name finalists, and it's going to be Mammoth, and I'm going to hate it.
Yeah.
I was all in on Utah Yeti. Well, it turns out that so was the Utah Hockey Club. Only problem is they didn't check the copyright or the ability to copyright. Because the Yeti Cooler Company said, nah, bro, we're not going to give you exclusivity on that name. And can you blame Yeti Coolers?
No.
How on earth, Ryan Smith, the billionaire owner of the Arizona Coyotes, how on earth did you not have that locked down before that name was ever spoken into existence in your fan base? So the Utah Yetis is not possible anymore.
Yeah.
So now here we are into a Utah Hockey Club name conundrum. And here's the question that I have. What will this name be? Everybody, I think, wants the Utah Mammoth. Everybody is already putting out logos and mocks of the jersey. Do you have a name preference, Jake?
No, not really. This conversation to me is, it's not irrelevant, but I'm going to be honest. I just don't care that much about this as a sports fan. And I'm not from Utah. I'm not, like, okay, I get it. Like, I'm not, bleeding purple, or in this case, bleeding powder blue.
And mammoths.
But like, I'm sitting here and I'm like, hold on a second. Here we are again. Time and time again, talking about something that should have been that wasn't, or something that happened that should not have happened.
Uniform and brand issues in Smith Sports.
In SEG Entertainment's portfolio.
Yes.
And what I'm really struggling with here is, why is this such a talking point in Salt Lake? Because I'm sitting here saying, with all due respect, I'm a hockey fan. I grew up a Hawks fan. Like, I know hockey. This team is not anything to write home about. I'm not sitting here like they're not sitting there saying, "Oh man, we're definitely a playoff team. We're going to go on a deep run." Like, if that was the case, I would have to pay attention. But I'm sitting here saying, like, is this not just a retread of what happened with the Jazz? You bought the Jazz, rolled out new uniforms. Everyone hated the highlighter, so you axed that. And then you did yet another one where you then rolled out everything purple.
Yeah.
And then this is just, hey, Utah Hockey Club, And we, did this in such a fashion we didn't have time to pick a name or pick jerseys or anything like that. So we kind of patchworked it for season 1, and now we're trying to figure out season 2, and the name that everyone wanted is no longer available. Like, it's the same thing over and over and over again.
And now you're 6 points out of a playoff spot. And I think they've lost 3 in a row.
I don't know, man. I'm trying not to be a hater. I'm trying not to be the guy that's like always negative on this. But I'm trying to understand, like, where's the positive? I would love for someone to help me understand, like, what am I supposed to feel good about? What is the thing that, and again, I really try to be cognizant of, like, hey, how old am I? Like, what sports am I really plugged into? Like, what are my interests right now? Am I just someone who maybe this isn't pointed at, and that's why I'm not really here for it?
I've wondered that too. Is it because I'm such a diehard Blackhawk fan? Can't wait to go back for Cubs opening day so I can go to a Blackhawk game. Like,
right?
Is that what it
is? Like, I used to be like last year and the year before. Let's wind the clocks back all the way back to the Donovan trade with the Jazz, right? From that point up until probably this season, like, we talked a lot of Jazz. We talked a lot about it. And again, maybe it's on the NBA. Maybe it's because we're from Chicago. Maybe, like, I don't know. But it's just not something where I'm like, man, like, every night, every evening around dinner time, we're texting about what we're going to talk about. And like, hey, what do we think, people want to talk about? What should we talk about? What could we talk about? And I'm not like, man, we got to talk about the Jazz and Ryan Smith and the hockey club. Like, we're being forced to talk about this because of a mistake that was made. This would not be a topic on today's show if it was Yetis. Like, we wouldn't be talking about it because everyone we all knew it was going to be Yetis. That's right. Not a surprise. But we have to talk about it because there was a mistake made. So I don't know. I just am not, like, I was in our members only group last night talking about how, like, isn't this the same thing? Isn't this just another conversation point about how we're not winning anything? And it's another jersey conversation. And I'm supposed to, as someone who follows sports in the state of Utah, supposed to be excited about this. And I'm just not. And maybe I'm just a hater. I don't know.
Jeremy Bolton, classy eye patch. Wouldn't expect anything less from a Ute fan. Oh boy. What did the eye patch say? The Utah Magic, like, see, why be anti-Mormon?
Yeah, that's just,
I don't understand. Yeah, I guess I do. How do you not do your due diligence to check naming rights, Ryan Smith? What a jackwagon. I have no idea.
But like, isn't this like
no idea?
So everyone criticizes us for like hating on Ryan Smith, right?
Yes.
Like, oh, hey, well, you guys are always negative. But once again, I'm going to bring up the question. What do we have from a behavioral standpoint out of SEG Entertainment to be like, yeah, wow, they did a great job with this. Like, everything looks amazing. Like another piece, and just a small tidbit that I thought was rich. We're no longer calling it the Delta Center, by the way. We're calling it DC. Hey, come buy your Utah Mammoth jersey at the DC.
And I'm sure Delta loves that.
Like, why? It's the Delta Center, bro.
Yeah. Utah Raptors. Okay. Sasquatch? Nah. Noel Ramirez, my dad would always take me to Hammock Dunes in Flagler, Florida when he would golf with his buddies. It was so boring. Yeah. Hit one good driver and tell me that golf's boring.
Yeah. My
God. Gig Addy. Ryan Smith was too busy spending all that taxpayer money to check the name. Exactly right. Nick Samirikov, hockey and golf. Yeah. Utah Alouettes. Oh, the Utah Tanners. Guys. Nope. Tanner said that was offensive and upset him. I haven't seen Tanner in
been a minute.
A good long while. Fat Jesus, crowd cheers. Guys.
Mayor
McCluskey, Fat Jesus, I 100% support this. Exactly right. iPatch says Mayor Soakmore, hilarious. You're disgusting sometimes, dude.
Yeah, you are.
You're a racist and you are a hater, and it is disgusting.
And then you want to criticize us for not reading your
comments. I just it is so terrible the way that you behave. Like how are you not embarrassed by the things you say, dude?
Yeah.
You legitimately hate people. And
Yeah.
I've never understood that. Major Indoor Lacrosse League, Colorado Mammoth is already in play. There you go, Joey.
Yeah.
But this will be the Utah Mammoth. Oh, it's only lacrosse. Oh, well, there you go. Utah rap would be perfect to pair with the Utah Jazz since rap and jazz are both outlawed
See
in
what
Utah.
they did there? See what they did there? It's all musical and it's all outlawed and,
Are they though? Utah Hockey Club should be the Utah Wasatch.
I guess, dude.
The Utah Wasatch. Why haven't you blocked that guy yet? Because we don't block people on this show.
Yeah.
We don't. RF, my condolences on being a Blackhawks fan. Hey, Connor Bedard's coming. It's finally back to being.
But like, at least as a Hawks fan, you can say, you know what? Like, we went through Patrick Kane and Jonathan Taves' prime. We had Corey Crawford and Duncan Keith, and like we had all these guys, and we went through our run, and now it's our turn to suck for a while.
RF, you guys don't like the yellow and black Jazz jerseys? I don't hate them, but you forgot.
I think that's a backhanded comment.
The jersey thing with the Jazz, you guys may not remember this. The thing with the Jazz jerseys, they forgot purple.
Yeah. In the original rollout.
They forgot purple.
Black, white, yellow. Like, who are you? The Pittsburgh Penguins?
And they didn't, they've just always, they don't do it well.
Yeah.
They just do it and hope for the best.
Yeah.
UW fan Jim, I thought they were tax collectors. Yeah, I've seen. I'm not. The Utah guys. All right, let's get to the guys highlights.
Guys.
They lost again. The awkward guy. That just confirmed the helicopter. They just confirmed the helicopter pilots had night vision goggles. They were doing an annual night evaluation. Wow. That's rough. And what he's talking about is the Black Hawk helicopter. Dude. This is going to be like the third or fourth time this has happened too. If that's true, I haven't seen that. I don't know if that's true or not. I'm not saying you're lying. I'm just saying I have not seen it. Black Hawk helicopter and an American Airlines regional jet collided last night over the Potomac in Washington at Reagan National.
Yeah.
One of the questions I asked was, were the Black Hawk helicopter crew wearing night vision glasses, goggles, whatever you call them? And you're saying that they were. Here's the problem. When you fly a Black Hawk or anything and you're wearing night vision, you need to be in a very dark theater. You need the area you're flying in has to be pitch black. Because when you're in night vision and you're in a bright area, it's blinding. It's it's truly like you're looking directly into the sun. I really hope that's not the case. That would be horrendous. It only explains it. I'll play the video again, you guys. Look at the straight path that the helicopter takes to the airplane. Right here in the middle, the big bright dot. Look at the little dot. That's the Black Hawk flying directly into the jet. All 64 people involved are dead. And we were trying to figure out, well, why is the helicopter flying a direct line to the regional jet? Well, now, if this is true, one of the things I wondered was, were they able to see? Because they had 4 crew members on the helicopter, which tells you they had a crew chief, a pilot, and a spotter at a minimum. And it makes you wonder, did anybody see that regional jet was actually
I'm still
there?
having a really hard time with, okay, if it's confirmed that, and I don't know, you're saying all 4 people on board were wearing night vision. Like, I don't know, man. I still need to hear the communications. I still need to understand this. You're telling me that you're flying a Black Hawk helicopter as one of the best pilots in the world, and you have night vision on, and there's all kinds of light pollution around. They call it light pollution, where it's night vision, and like he was just saying. And you're telling me that you didn't think, probably unsafe flying conditions. We probably need to, like, I don't know, man. It doesn't, like, I'm not saying that there was any intent to crash. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that that does not exclude the idea that there was a major mistake. You can't tell me they had night vision on to the point where they flew into a commercial jet. I still am not comfortable saying, yeah, that's what happened here. Like there has to be more protocol than that.
Yeah, and I'd be surprised if you are in an urban setting wearing night vision. I know they do a lot of those. I think you said it was an evaluation. When they do night vision evaluations in an urban setting, they a lot of times are near the ocean, so they will fly out to sea.
Yeah,
to do that,
which makes perfect sense
because it's dark and you can. You almost never. I can tell you in Southern California, they fly out to the desert, and they do their evals on night vision in the desert. But it is very. It is. I'll be interested to see the details if that comes out.
Yeah.
Yeah. That doesn't, because again, like Boyd is saying here, and we talked about this earlier, Blackhawks are meant to be invisible. And if you haven't seen the details of the story, a American Airlines regional jet, which American Airlines, I think, said had 60 people on it, is landing at Reagan National Airport. A Black Hawk helicopter with a full crew of 4 is taking off. The base is right next to the landing strip, the runway. Not uncommon at this airport. Not uncommon at any airport. The two collided, and the tower traffic, you can hear the tower traffic saying you're cleared for landing. The tower addresses the Black Hawk and says, hey, be aware of your surroundings. There's active aircraft. So it makes no sense that you have a Black Hawk when you have a plane coming in,
right,
flying a straight line into that plane.
Well, and the other thing too, and you can look this is all over Twitter right now, all over the internet. The Black Hawk, the orientation of the airport towards the river is really interesting to me too, because to land at Reagan, you go over the river, then the airstrip is right there, which is very common. I mean, we see this all the time. Like you know, at SFO, you're flying over the bay, you know, and then you land on the runway. So the idea that the Black Hawk had taken off, swung around, and then was flying again perpendicular to the landing path of the aircrafts is shocking to me. So somewhere, somehow, you know, like there was a mistake made here, and that's going to get uncovered 100%.
Yeah, I don't know how you explain it. I mean, you're talking about people that, I mean, this is $1 billion in assets you're talking about. These accidents don't happen. I'm very curious to see, because I can tell you, unfortunately, having covered plane crashes in the past, there are not accidents. There are errors.
Yeah.
Big mistakes. I covered the Aviation crash at SFO several years ago. Big mistake. You have a helicopter in a Black Hawk that is invisible to the airplane. The airplane is cleared for landing. One of the things that everybody was talking about was the plane on the wrong runway. Absolutely not. It's not possible. Like, it quite literally is not possible. Between the computer that lands the plane, the avionics, the tower, the pilots in the cockpit, not possible to be on the wrong runway, especially at Reagan National.
Yeah.
The regional jet here is going to be blameless. He was cleared to land. He was on flight path. What happened in that Black Hawk helicopter? That's where the error was made. That's where the incident happened. Because one, that Black Hawk is not going to be visible to the regional jet. Between sight lines out of the cockpit and stealth technology, that Black Hawk's not going to be visible. It is meant to fly invisibly. I hate to be right, but I think the night vision thing was a very good We talked about it in the 6 o'clock hour. We surmised
Yeah.
it's probably night vision.
Yeah.
It sucks. It sucks out loud, dude.
Yeah.
We'll
get more details today. I'm sure, I'm sure more will be put together.
Yeah. You lost 64 people in all probability. And I think they say they've pulled 20 something out of the river. And it just sucks.
Yeah.
It sucks bad. All right. We had a non-sports. What was I can't remember. Oh, the Costco food court. The Costco food court.
Mm-hmm.
Non-sports stories on the Monty Show is always presented by our good friends at Prize Picks. Prize Picks, the best daily fantasy app in the business. I play every day. Won again last night because I play the way you should play. Flex play, which means you only got to get 2 out of 3 right. Don't do 6-pack flex plays. 3-pick flex plays. 2 out of 3 is all you got to get right. The best part is download the Prize Picks app. You deposit $5 in a new Prize Picks account, they'll give you 50 more instantly. And the best part about opening a new account now, Patrick Mahomes is a free play for the Super Bowl. That's an automatic win. It's half a yard. You pick it, doom, done. You only got to get 1 more right in the Super Bowl. I'm telling you, you want to win bread playing daily fantasy? No better place to do it than Prize Picks. Download the app, use the promo code Monty, M-O-N-T-Y, Monty. You deposit $5, they'll give you 50 more instantly. Costco food court's going Coca-Cola, baby.
And everyone's loving it.
No, that's McDonald's. Loving it.
Right, McDonald's.
Okay.
Also.
Anyway, the point is, I'm upset about it because I'm losing my Minute Maid sugar-free lemonade.
Yeah.
That I drink once a year.
Yeah.
So I'm aggrieved. Do you care about this?
Not really. I mean, I do like the lemonade Pepsi offers, but I don't really drink soda. So this isn't like some huge,
I don't drink soda at all.
development. But I will say that Coke overall, I think, is a better brand. Obviously, they have a lot of stuff under the portfolio, but yeah, I'm not like people were like, oh yes, we're gonna get Coke Zero and Diet Coke and regular Coke and like yeah, you are, and that's great. I think it's smart for Costco. I think Coke and Costco are a perfect partnership.
I would agree with that. What do you get at the Costco food court? I'm not a chicken bake guy. I'm not a yogurt guy. I think Costco pizza is so greasy.
Mm-hmm.
I get glizzies.
Yep.
I'm slurping glizzies at
Slurping
Costco.
glizzies, dude.
Right? I'm a hot dog guy. That's really it. Is the food court at Costco amazing?
It is, yeah. I think it is too. It's one of the best food courts. I think it's something that I don't do it every time I go to Costco, but probably once a month I'll get a couple of dogs, or I'll split a chicken bake or something, like, because I like it. It's good, and I think the value play is undefeated.
Mellow yellow is the best.
Right.
Oh. Big Papa War Machine. Let's get glizzy guzzling. Zona says the chicken bake from Costco rules.
It does. It's
really good. They just don't. You know what I got from Costco that I really liked? These chicken meatballs.
Mm-hmm.
The best thing is you get some raw marinara. You microwave the chicken meatballs for 5 minutes. A pack of them, 5 minutes, perfectly microwaved.
Yeah.
Pour a bunch of marinara on top of them. You got a meal, baby.
Yes.
I love Costco. They have all kinds. Now, they break my heart because they stopped selling the things that I love. For instance, such as in Impossible Chicken Nuggets. But, dude, the chicken meatballs, the rotisserie chicken that's in the vacuum bag, the pre-chopped one, outstanding. I get raspberries, blueberries, blackberries there, Monster Energy by the case. Like, I love Costco.
Yeah.
I love it. I use it. I'm there every week. Like, I get my vitamins there. Like, I mean,
it's solid.
I think it is very solid. I don't have kids that live at home. Like, it's just me and Mrs. Monty. We get all kinds of stuff from there.
Yeah.
Their peanut butter, like, it's amazing.
Yes.
It is absolutely amazing.
Yes. The syrup.
I eat a lot of, who's ready? I eat a lot of nuts. So unshelled pistachios are really expensive. Not if you get the Kirkland brand, and the Kirkland brand is actually very good.
Yeah.
Love it. Love it. What's your favorite Costco thing to get?
I would say, man, that's hard. I would say those meatballs are really good. The Impossible Nuggets were definitely topping the list. If you're in the market for frozen pizza, Costco frozen pizza is gas that you get out of the coolers.
See, maybe I'm just too old and whatever. I don't eat that stuff. Like I almost never eat pizza.
I don't eat. You're asking me what my favorite thing to buy is. I'm not saying I buy it with regularity. I'm saying that if I'm going to Costco to enjoy eating what I get, yeah, I'm probably like the Costco apple pie, in my opinion, is still undefeated.
Oh my God.
You know,
well,
I mean,
think, listen, if we're going that route,
yeah, like I think on the regular, like
their stupid little cherry Danishes, amazing.
Yeah, I mean, on the regular, the stuff that I buy, I would say I really like the organic maple syrup that they sell.
The peanut butter. What do I eat there regularly? Berries, all kinds of berries.
Mm-hmm.
All kinds of like their little mini potatoes the pot potatoes, I think they're called. All their produce. Before they went crazy and stopped selling eggs, I used to get my eggs there.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, Monster Energy, tortilla chips. If we're eating tortilla chips at the moment, they have this mango peach salsa they sell there.
Bomb.
Oh my God.
Bomb. Yes.
Oh my God. Bitchin' sauce.
Yeah.
Do you guys know what bitchin' sauce is? If you don't know what bitchin' sauce is, you're not living life. So good.
Yeah.
So incredibly good. See, that's how you end a show that's had a little depressing.
Yeah.
You talk about food.
Yeah, we're good.
The Monty Show is always presented by The Advocates at theadvocates.com. We'll be back tomorrow with a preview of the Pro Bowl. We're not going to preview
we're not.
Never, ever.
No, you're not getting our prize picks on the Pro Bowl.
Right. Until tomorrow, say goodbye, Jake.
Goodbye, Jake.